The black-haired swordsman panted, sweat pouring down as he faced the sea of monsters. How many of these are there? He skewered a one-eyed monster, and the kill count in his mind jumped. 3,377,448,090. Another monster charged forward and was instantly obliterated, the kill count continuing to rise. The swordsman glided like a phantom, continuously slashing and killing without pause, the number wildly fluctuating amidst the fiery battlefield. His blue blade, stained with monster blood, plunged into the ground. He faced a blonde demoness, wondering when this world had turned into such a hell. The flashback began. A long time ago, the streets were still bustling and peaceful. An innocent little girl held her mother's hand, pointed to the sky, and exclaimed, "Mom, look at the moon." The moon in the sky began to deform, swirling into a red and yellow circle. The vortex transformed into a fiery black hole, looking like a giant eye opening in the night sky. The crowd below looked up, some even thinking it was a lunar eclipse, and excitedly pulling out binoculars for a clearer view. A young man pressed his eye to the binoculars, his mouth agape in astonishment at the sight within. Through the lens, he saw not the moon, but a horde of hideous monsters growling. What the hell is going on up there? Countless beasts and anomalies had already gathered inside the gate, poised to attack. The narration explained. Deep within the monster world, there was a key that could close the gate. If humanity failed to find the key in time, the monsters would break through the barrier and flood into the human world, bringing about catastrophic destruction. Thus, a group of extraordinary individuals emerged. The chosen, awakened ones. Their mission was to find the key before the monsters could escape. A group of awakened ones fought fiercely, shouting, "We'll clear the way. You go ahead and find the key." The red-haired young man replied, "Understood," then charged forward alone while his teammates stayed behind to hold back a sea of monsters. The red-haired young man landed in a safe area inside the gate, reassuring himself. This should be good. He inserted the golden key into a hovering blue energy lock. With blazing red eyes, he gripped the key tightly, wondering, is this the key to close the gate? Meanwhile, in the real world, the civilian crowd gasped as they watched the moon mysteriously restore itself. A crazy thought flashed through the red-haired man's mind. What if I turn it the other way? The narration revealed. The first group of awakened ones discovered that the key could both close and open the gate, turning the demons into valuable resources to farm. A squad of awakened ones aggressively entered the dungeon, their blonde leader shouting, "Let's go, it's time to get rich." Time flew by, and 5 years had passed. An armored hand gripped a young man's throat tightly, lifting him effortlessly into the air. The young man was thrown straight into the abyss, while the awakened ones stood at the top, looking down with contempt, for in their eyes, ordinary people were nothing but ants. Thud! He fell freely and slammed hard into the ground, creating an earth-shattering impact. He recalled the moment near death, when he was surrounded by a swarm of hideous monsters. In that desperate moment, the image of a blonde girl with a white flower in her hair appeared from the locket. A flash of light, the image of salvation reflected in his pupils, and a name escaped his lips in astonishment. Jinyu? Jinyu roared amidst a sea of fire, a magic circle erupting beneath his feet as he shouted, "I have gained the power I always craved," but the price was too steep. That power transformed him into something hideous, a regret he would carry for the rest of his life. The scene shifted to a new location, high-level dungeon, the Hill of No Return. A young swordsman with dark blue hair unleashed a purple cross-shaped sword strike, cleaving directly into the giant spider monster. The monster's blood gushed out, splattering onto the face of a bewildered backpack-wearing kid standing nearby, making him exclaim, "Wow!" The kid's teammates gathered around, playfully ruffling his hair and teasing, "Stop daydreaming, it's our turn to work." A blonde-haired man with a tattoo urged, "All logistics team members, move out, there's not much time." Feng Wanjia, 19 years old, smiled, and introduced himself as a humble logistics member. When the gates opened, the awakened ones had to frantically grind kill counts, which is how the dungeon logistics profession was born. They specialized in supplying warriors and collecting scraps. No, rather, materials from monster corpses. Even with the front line clearing monsters, an unlucky encounter with one that slipped through the net meant instant death. While looting a slimy monster, Feng Wanjia clicked his tongue. Nothing valuable at all. He secretly thought that if Jinyu wasn't unconscious in the hospital, he wouldn't have to risk his life like this to earn money for her medical bills. Meanwhile, the tattooed man plopped down, panting, "Phew, I'm exhausted." Feng Wanjia quickly brought a whole pack of water. Here," while the other man was shouting for water. The tattooed man grimaced upon seeing the water bottle covered in monster blood. "Gross, didn't you bother to wash your hands after touching monsters?" Two awakened ones whispered to each other from a distance. Brother Kun, this logistics guy is truly useless. I don't understand what Su Huanyu saw in him. Unaware, Fang Wanjia still smiled and offered water to the red-haired captain. Brother Kun, please have some water. The red-haired captain, Brother Kun, said nothing, his icy gaze fixed on him. Bang. Brother Kun knocked away the water bottles, then delivered a kick that sent Fang Wanjia flying, roaring. You bastard! You dared to come here on your own again. He pointed, ordering his two subordinates. Give him a good beating for me, then kill him. Immediately, the two henchmen rushed in, punching and kicking Fang Wanjia relentlessly, giving him no time to react. Beaten black and blue, Fang Wanjia could only stammer on the ground. Why? Why are you hitting me? Thwack! A military boot stomped directly onto his face. Brother Kun pressed his boot onto Fang Wanjia's head, his voice full of contempt. You brat. You still dare to ask why? Do you want me to spell it out and humiliate myself? Thud. He delivered a finishing stomp, leaving a long trail of blood on the ground amidst the cheers of his subordinates. Brother Kun is so mighty. Fang Wanjia was grabbed by his hair, his face bruised, but he still desperately asked, Brother Kun, what are you saying? Is there some mistake? The captain stood atop the cliff, looking down coldly, not bothering to reply. Brother Kun sneered, his voice full of sarcasm. Ha ha, you really make me laugh. You're about to die, and you still dare to argue? The captain roared, gripping Fang Wanjia's chin tightly. Fang Wanjia, do you think I could be mistaken? He unceremoniously threw Fang Wanjia towards the abyss. If others knew a piece of trash like you dared to compete with me, where would I put my face? Fang Wanjia screamed in panic as he plummeted into the bottomless abyss. No, don't! The scoundrels above looked down, laughing mockingly, and the captain added venomously, Die like a coward. Su Huanyu only cared about him when that girl's eyes were eaten by dogs. To be sure, the captain crushed the golden key, determined to seal the dungeon and cut off all of Fang Wanjia's escape routes. Crash! Fang Wanjia plunged headfirst into the rocks, creating an earth-shattering impact. He lay motionless amidst the rubble, covered in blood, barely breathing. Suddenly, Fang Wanjia opened his eyes, unable to believe he was still alive after the fatal fall. But misfortune hadn't abandoned him. A gigantic, hideous monster appeared right before him, drooling profusely. Fang Wanjia was utterly terrified, his bruised body unable to move even a single finger. The monster gave him no time to recover, lunging forward and swinging its razor-sharp claws. The monster's pounce was aimed directly at the utterly helpless Fang Wanjia. All of a sudden, another monster charged out of nowhere, crashing directly into the attacker, leaving Fang Wanjia stunned. Am I saved? But no, this wasn't luck. The scent of his blood had attracted an entire swarm of monsters, as numerous as ants, pouring in, surrounded by an army of monsters of all shapes and sizes. Fang Wanjia desperately realized he was still gravely wounded. A smaller, octopus-like monster seized the opportunity and lunged to attack, making him scream. Pushed to his limit, Fang Wanjia grabbed the small fry monster with his bare hands, his eyes bloodshot. Even a piece of trash like you dares to bully me? Enraged, Fang Wanjia roared, Get off me! Then used all his might to hurl the octopus monster away. The monster was hit, its bloodshot eye rolling wildly. It shrieked miserably as a sharp rock embedded itself directly into its mouth. Fang Wanjia was stunned to see gigantic tentacles sprout from the injured monster. The small fry monster transformed into a colossal, mutated tentacle boss, standing towering before Fang Wanjia. Believing his life was over, Fang Wanjia could only watch helplessly as the boss's tentacles descended. Boom! The earth-shattering blow cracked the ground, mercilessly crushing Fang Wanjia. Coughing up fresh blood, a hole in his chest, he desperately realized there was no turning back. The medallion around his neck also shattered into pieces, falling hopelessly. Lying barely alive amidst the rubble, Fang Wanjia could only gasp for breath, awaiting death. The medallion sprang open, revealing the image of a blonde girl inside. Surrounded by hungry monsters, Fang Wanjia whispered an apology. I'm sorry, Jinyu. He recalled his promise to earn enough money to take Jinyu to the hospital and find the best doctor. In his dying throes, he painfully admitted, It seems I won't be able to keep my promise this time. Tears streamed down his face as he repeated his apology to Jinyu one last time. A strange sound echoed, as if something had just been activated. The monsters, about to charge, suddenly froze, bewildered by what was happening. All of a sudden, a brilliant golden pillar of light shot up from the ground into the sky, blasting the monsters away. The colossal energy pillar illuminated the entire area, creating concentric rings of light. Amidst the dazzling light, a pair of sharp green eyes opened, signaling an earth-shattering change. Amidst the dazzling light, colossal angelic wings appeared, and Fang Wanjia uttered in bewilderment. Huh. A blonde goddess with radiant wings and a halo descended right before him, exuding an overwhelming aura. A series of system windows appeared, and the goddess confirmed her decision to bestow her divine gift, accepting the loss of all her power. Her golden hand gently rested on Fang Wanjia's head, and a soft voice echoed, "Little Jie." A fiery mark blazed on Fang Wanjia's forehead. The energy transfer process had officially begun. The goddess vanished into a vortex of light, leaving her final message, "Receive my divine gift and live well." Fang Wanjia looked up, an eye and triangle-shaped halo hovering above his head. He was utterly shocked by the transformation. His green eyes now gleamed with an entirely new power, an authority far beyond all comprehension. Whoosh! Brilliant golden wings unfurled from Fang Wanjia's back, officially beginning his spectacular metamorphosis. His hands erupted with divine flames, power surging through his veins like molten lava. From the flames, a golden sword of incredibly formidable design was summoned, ready for the slaughter. Fang Wanjia let out a roar, his bare body exploding with energy, his aura and golden wings making him look like a god of war. The remaining monsters could only gaze up at the newly empowered being before them, sensing a tragic end. Without a word, Fang Wanjia swung his sword, unleashing a colossal purple energy slash with a cold expression. Swish! The slash formed a cross of energy that tore through the ground, hurtling straight towards the small fry. An armored monster was instantly cleaved in half, unable to react. The others shared the same fate, their bodies ripped apart by the destructive energy. Fang Wanjia continued to swing his sword, creating a storm of blood-red sword energy that swept away everything in its path. His eyes were sharp, without a trace of hesitation, leaving only pure destructive instinct. The entire battlefield was littered with monster corpses. Fang Wanjia stood alone amidst the rubble, proving his new level of power. Fang Wanjia blew the head off a mutated lizard monster and roared a challenge. "You tentacled mutant, get out here." The one-eyed boss monster officially revealed itself, and Fang Wanjia, with golden wings, charged straight at it, declaring, "You bastard, I'm here." Boom! Fang Wanjia's golden sword clashed fiercely with the boss monster's pincer. The boss wasted no words, gathering energy and firing a destructive laser beam from its single eye. Fang Wanjia steeled himself, raising his sword and aura to block the attack, the laser beam pressing him to suffocation. He gritted his teeth and endured, sweat pouring down as he realized his power was being completely overwhelmed. In that moment of despair, he recalled his past as an ordinary person, treated like dirt by the awakened. Back in reality, the boss monster was poised to strike, and he bitterly realized that in this world, even the monsters wanted to tear him apart. Suddenly, a system notification appeared in Fang Wanjia's eyes. System collapsing. Despite the warning, he charged forward to face the boss pounce, his eyes blazing with madness, as he screamed in his mind, "I'll kill all of you." A series of error messages appeared continuously, system crashing, restarting error system crashed as a chaotic surge of energy erupted from his body. A sharp pincer pierced through Fang Wanjia's shoulder, but he only laughed wildly. "Haha, you bastards who looked down on me." His glowing golden sword began to tremble violently. A surge of dark, bluish-black energy began to erode and envelop the divine sword. The dark energy exploded, shattering the surrounding light structure. The boss monster was stunned to see Fang Wanjia stand up, his entire body enveloped in a pitch-black aura, the angelic halo having vanished. The old halo shattered, replaced by a dark magic circle. Fang Wanjia's eyes were now stark white as he repeated his deadly vow. "I'll kill all of you." The boss monster let out a terrifying roar, sensing a true threat. Now, just a shadow with glowing eyes, Fang Wanjia stood defiantly amidst the monster's recoiling tentacles. His corrupted form exuded an overwhelming aura, challenging the monster with a deathly invitation. "Come, come." With a roar, Fang Wanjia unleashed all his dark energy, his body enveloped in a ghostly bluish-black armor. Without a moment's hesitation, he charged, swinging his sword and severing one of the monster's giant tentacles. Numerous other tentacles vanished in the blink of an eye, blood splattering everywhere under Fang Wanjia's brutal sword strikes. The boss monster was stunned. It didn't understand why its previous prey had suddenly transformed into a true demon. Fang Wanjia's blazing blue eyes locked onto the target, while the monster was bound by energy chains, unable to move. He landed with imposing force, the ground beneath his feet cracking into pieces. Fang Wanjia's face was now cold as ice, his eyes devoid of emotion, only pure killing intent. A system notification appeared, confirming his new talent. Immortal angelic talent has awakened. The dark sword was pressed against the monster's neck, and it trembled before the overwhelming aura of its new hunter. Fang Wanjia uttered arrogantly, I'll give you one chance. Call all your comrades here. The boss monster was terrified to its core, stammering out strange sounds, obeying unconditionally. A blazing red energy circle radiated from its body, a distress signal shooting straight into the sky. From the horizon, a pitch-black cloud was approaching. It was an entire legion of flying monsters. Thousands of winged monsters descended, but Fang Wanjie only sneered. Can you only summon monsters of this level? He charged into the horde, the sword in his hand becoming a meat grinder, slicing a flying monster in half with a single strike. Gleaming bluish-black sword slashes swept away everything in their path. He spun around, unleashing a wide-area sweeping attack, creating countless energy explosions in midair, clearing out the small fry. His eyes gleamed with madness, completely immersed in the slaughter. Channeling energy into his sword, Fang Wanjie threw it like a blue-light spear, aiming straight at the boss. The boss monster only had time to widen its single eye in horror, watching death hurtle straight towards it. Fang Wanjie pinned the dark sword into the boss, growling, "Did you think I'd let you go?" Thud. The sword pierced straight through the boss monster's skull, dark energy exploding and finishing it off on the spot. Unexpectedly, a giant corpse bee emerged from the corpse, followed by a swarm as numerous as ants. Fang Wanjie sneered at the corpse bee swarm. Royal corpse bee swarm? Finally, something a little fun. It's my first time seeing so many, he coldly declared. But no matter what kind of monsters you are, from today onwards, those who intend to harm me shall all die. He snapped his fingers, and a wave of destructive energy wiped out the entire swarm in an instant. He told himself that the full awakening process was still ongoing, because his power should have been blue. Fang Wanjie used his collect skill, absorbing all the death energy from the recently annihilated monsters into a black energy orb. He looked down at the battlefield littered with monster corpses, the dark energy gradually dissipating. Standing amidst the ruins, he wondered, "There's still so much?" He crushed a corpse, revealing blue crystals that the awakened always craved. He picked up a handful of crystals, commanding, "Absorb." The dark armor dissipated, revealing Fang Wanjie's bare body, but the crystal in his hand showed no reaction. An explanatory diagram appeared. Crystals are the main energy source for the awakened, the motivation for them to enter dungeons and farm items. Fang Wanjie strained, trying to absorb energy from the crystal once more, but still failed. Sweat broke out on him. Realizing something was wrong with his body, he felt a strange energy enter his body, but it was definitely not energy from the crystal. A surge of bluish-black death energy billowed up from the monster corpses and was drawn into Fang Wanjie. He was stunned. Could it be the monster's death energy? He realized he could convert death energy into power. A shadow wolf appeared beside him, and he declared, "If so, I don't need crystals anymore." Fang Wanjie tore apart a monster, realizing a new truth. He could continuously grow stronger simply by killing monsters. Standing atop a mountain of monster corpses, he confirmed that after learning this truth, he immediately returned. His eyes gleamed with determination. Now, taking revenge on Jiang Kun had become much easier. Fang Wanjie landed at the forest edge, where the dungeon gate once stood. He looked around the empty clearing in confusion, wondering, where is the gate? On the ground, he discovered the broken golden key. Realizing the enemy's intention, did he want to trap him here forever? Fang Wanjie gritted his teeth, crushing the broken key in his hand and roaring, "I won't let you have your way, you bastard." He turned and walked away, accepting the truth that before finding a way out, the only thing he could do was grind for power. Time fast-forwarded. In his first year trapped, he annihilated 17,565 monsters. By now, Fang Wanjie was so overwhelmingly powerful that he didn't even bother wearing armor when facing weak monsters anymore. He crushed one monster with his foot, then casually tore apart another with his bare hands. He bit into a piece of slimy monster flesh, suddenly remembering something important from his year in the dungeon. Flashback to a year ago, in a high-rise apartment, Jinyu was sitting next to him, asking, "What are you looking at?" They were both looking at a monster guidebook, and Jinyu pointed to a page, saying it was quite famous among awakened ones. It was an image of Seraphis the Sealbreaker, an item so rare it could buy a house in the third ring. Jinyu explained that it lived in an endless sea, appearing when the world inside the gate restarted and created the key. Fang Wanjie wondered about the restart, and Jinyu explained that it happened when all monsters in the dungeon were annihilated. Back in reality, Fang Wanjie stared at the monster corpse in his hand, his mind racing. If Jinyu's words are true, he realized the only way to escape from here was to wipe out all the monsters in this dungeon. The montage of frantic grinding continued. Second year, 386,170 kills. Third year, 1,588,702 kills. Monster corpses piled up like mountains. Fang Wanjie lay amidst a pile of bones, panting after the endless battle. He was exhausted, thinking to himself, "Why do I feel like I can never kill all the monsters here?" Amidst a sea of blood and corpses, something colossal was emerging from the shadows. Countless blood-red eyes glowed brightly in the night. A true monster legion was lurking. Fang Wanjie realized this sea was the source of the endlessly spawning monsters. He suddenly realized something. His expression changed, as if a horrifying truth had just been revealed. A colossal purple S-rank monster emerged, and he muttered that after 10 years, the monster's levels were getting higher and higher. Fang Wanjie roared, summoning his dark armor as blue energy erupted. Crash! He was punched away by the S-rank monster, slamming straight into the cliff face. Taking a critical hit, he told himself, a single moment of carelessness means certain death. He shot out of the rubble like a blue arrow, aiming straight at the enemy. The S-rank monster opened its mouth to bite, but Fang Wanjie charged straight into its maw. Slash! A colossal spray of blood erupted. Fang Wanjie was panting heavily, his face covered in blood after taking down the massive creature. Severely wounded in the abdomen, he propped himself up with his sword and briefly thought, "Sometimes I just want to die and get it over with." But reality was harsh. A new horde of monsters, as numerous as ants, swarmed out to surround him. Thinking of Jiang Kun's face, his rage erupted, absorbing all the death energy from the surrounding monster corpses. He also thought of Jinyu waiting for him, clenching his fist, determined to survive. Standing atop the mountain of corpses, Fang Wanjie declared his ultimate goal, to wipe out everything and capture Seraphi's the Seal Breaker at all costs. Fang Wanjie's eyes were bloodshot, screaming in his mind, "I must escape from here at all costs." Time flowed to the 20th year. Fang Wanjie, exhausted, knelt amidst a desolate forest, bitterly admitting, "This year, I haven't even killed a single monster." The reason was simple. In this entire dungeon, only one final boss remained, a colossal griffin attracted by the treasure tree, turning this place into a perfect ambush point. What a great opportunity! Fang Wanjie's dark energy erupted as he shot into the air, aiming straight for the monster. Whoosh! A blue sword slash tore straight into the griffin's head, red blood splattering, but it was useless. The monster's wound automatically healed as if nothing had happened. The griffin roared, swinging its colossal claws in retaliation. Fang Wanjie was knocked far back, muttering irritably, "Couldn't kill it for an entire year, it's truly a damn nuisance." The griffin suddenly tensed its body, its entire form emitting a brilliant golden energy, preparing to unleash its ultimate move. Boom! A colossal energy explosion blasted Fang Wanjie far away. The monster hovered in the sky, and below it was a dense matrix of seething energy circles. Fang Wanjie looked up, his face darkening. Damn it! That move again! He gritted his teeth, bitterly telling himself, "I'm truly useless." For an entire year, he was constantly pursued and attacked by this very technique. The energy spheres rushed closer and closer with terrifying speed. Fang Wanjie tensed his body, preparing to endure the full barrage. He was enveloped in a colossal energy sphere, seemingly in defense. The griffin looked down with cunning eyes, smirking. Hey, I was just waiting for you to go on the defensive." Fang Wanjie hovered in the air, directly above the deadly energy matrix. Boom! Countless energy pillars erupted simultaneously from the ground, piercing his body without mercy. Boom! Fang Wanjie was impaled by countless energy pillars. Exploding, the griffin roared with delight. "As an opponent, you satisfy me." Fang Wanjie replayed the battle in his mind, admitting that this griffin was nearly invincible in magic, speed, and strength. He gritted his teeth, his face covered in blood, bitterly realizing this was the only S-class monster he had ever encountered. The boss assumed a superior air, tempting him. "Become my slave, and I might spare your life." It boasted of its destructive array of skills, roaring. "What do you think? Agree or not?" Fang Wanjie, his entire body emanating dark energy, replied coldly. "You truly are a high-level monster, even knowing how to interrogate humans." But he growled, his face distorted by dark power. "However, can I still be considered human now?" The griffin flew into a rage, bellowing, "You dare to mock me when death is at your doorstep." It launched a massive pink energy attack, determined to crush Fang Wanjie. But Fang Wanjie stood firm amidst the storm, realizing, "When I was on the brink of death, the dark wave within me was activated," he declared arrogantly. "For a short period, all attacks are ineffective against me." He slashed the griffin, further explaining his trump card. "And I can inflict damage that prevents all types of monsters from self-healing." He smirked, his gaze sharp. "You shouldn't have given me a chance to breathe just now," he commanded decisively. "Now, go die." Fang Wanjia shouted the skill name, Spirit Chain Slash. An energy collar tightly locked onto the griffin, leaving it bewildered. Whoosh! A blue sword streak flashed past, and the griffin's head flew into the air, blood gushing out. The boss's colossal corpse crashed to the ground, and Fang Wanjia stood there, coldly observing his achievement. He stood upright, the dark energy gradually dissipated, and he declared, "The new beginning has commenced." A massive blue light swirled above his head, signaling that the dungeon gate had finally opened. Fang Wanjia's eyes reflected the blue light from the newly opened dungeon gate. Inside the energy vortex, a blue humanoid entity was hovering. Fang Wanjia's eyes widened, and he shouted a name. Seraphis. Crash. He landed on the cracked ground, dark energy still surging. Fang Wanjia knelt down, looked up at the sky, his dark blue hair flaring up like a ghostly flame. The energy entity Seraphis floated in the air, facing Fang Wanjia and his dark wings. Without a moment's hesitation, Fang Wanjia flew straight towards Seraphis with overwhelming momentum. His dark hand touched Seraphis's pure energy body. Fang Wanjia's entire arm sank deep into the entity as if passing through water. Fang Wanjia was completely absorbed into Seraphis' core, appearing as if trapped within an energy sphere. The entity Seraphis, in the shape of a giant ring, could only stare blankly at the intruder. Inside, Fang Wanjia commanded roughly, "Don't move. Give it to me quickly," he roared, his face filled with madness. "Hurry, give me the key." Seraphis seemed confused by his violent demand. Seraphis's energy body began to convulse, distorting into a chaotic mess. It disintegrated and twisted into swirling energy ribbons, losing its original form. Blue energy enveloped Fang Wanjia, forming a pair of angelic wings and an intricate symbol. Whoosh! A brilliant golden key shaped like a crown appeared in his hand. Fang Wanjia laughed through tears, clutching his prize tightly. "Haha, I finally got it." The scene shifted to a desolate land, arid mountains under a blazing red sky, signaling a new challenge. A dazzling golden pillar of light tore through the sky, striking the ground like a judgment blow. In the middle of a giant crater, Fang Wanjia woke up, gasping for breath after escaping hell. He looked around blankly, wondering, "Have I returned to the real world?" Seeing the desolate landscape devoid of people, he began to doubt. "Why is there no one here? Am I still in the dungeon?" Roar! A giant, wild boar monster suddenly charged out of the shadows, intending to make him its dinner. A warrior's reflexes were still present. He raised his arm to block the attack just in time, blood gushing from the sharp claw marks. "Damn it," he growled, annoyed that monsters were still lurking. "Didn't I clear the entire dungeon?" Without a word, he delivered a chopping heel kick straight to the monster's head, with terrifying force. The wild boar was instantly defeated, collapsing to the ground unconscious. Huh, just a wild boar? He looked at himself again, disappointedly realizing his power had plummeted drastically. Now I can only defeat a wild boar? Recalling the moment the dungeon collapsed, he realized he had burned through all the accumulated death energy, just to survive. Now, wandering in the forest, he accepted the harsh truth. I am now just a lowly, low-level awakened. He discovered an abandoned wooden house, hoping to find something to eat. Cautiously opening the door, he called inside. "Excuse me, is anyone home?" Inside the house was a chilling sight. Only the skeleton of the former owner lay sprawled on the floor. He found some clothes and put them on, telling himself, "I didn't expect hunters to have such fashionable taste." Finding an old map, he muttered. "It's been 20 years. I hope this map is still usable." Wearing new clothes, map in hand, he confidently stepped out of the house, ready to start anew. A blue energy crystal was left on the wooden crate, a small detail he had missed. Stepping out of the forest, Fang Wanjia stood frozen amidst a bustling modern city, realizing the world had completely changed after 20 years. Fang Wanjia looked at the map, pinpointed the hospital's location, and told himself he would soon meet Jinyu. While walking down the street, a stranger thrust a promotional flyer for the Wild Souls Guild into his hand. He froze when he saw the face on the flyer. Jiang Kun? The advertisement slogan, "The time to stir the masses has come," made Fang Wanjia seethe with rage. On a building's giant screen, the image of Jiang Kun, leader of the Wild Souls Guild, was being heavily promoted. He was praised to the heavens. At 38, he could solo S-rank monsters, and in the past 10 years, he had led his team to acquire 50 keys, donating 10 of them to society. Fang Wanjia's face darkened, filled with indignation at the false accolades. Crackle! He crumpled the flyer in his hand, making no effort to hide his disdain. A voice rang out, stating that the Wild Souls Guild's only weakness was recruiting only high-rank awakened. Finally, Fang Wanjia arrived before the gates of a modern, spacious hospital. Stepping inside, he muttered, "The hospital hasn't changed much from before. An elderly nun was kneeling, begging a man dressed as a priest. "Father, please save my son. I've worked here for free for a very long time." The priest scoffed, replying disdainfully, "How could your salary cover the hospital fees? You'd need at least a B-rank monster core to afford the surgery." "I'm busy! Get out of the way!" The priest roughly pushed the nun down. Fang Wanjia swiftly stepped forward to help her up, asking, "Are you all right?" The nun looked up, stunned as she recognized her helper. "Wanji? Is that you, Wanji?" Fang Wanjia also recognized the acquaintance. "You're Miss Zhang, Jinyu's caretaker, aren't you?" With tears welling up, Miss Zhang sobbed, "Why have you only come now?" Her words struck him like a thunderbolt. "She couldn't wait for you to return." Fang Wanjia froze, his mind blank, as he heard a lamenting, echo, seemingly for the deceased. A flock of birds circled in the sky, a terrifyingly peaceful scene. Standing before the cold tombstone, Miss Zhang began to recount the heartbreaking story. "This happened about 20 years ago, precisely the year you entered the dungeon. Memories resurfaced of Su Jinyu dying on her hospital bed, 2 mid-level priests helplessly watching her pass away despite pouring all their strength into blessings." With tears in her eyes, Miss Zhang sobbed, "I bought this tomb for her with my own hands." Fang Wanjia was stunned, tears streaming down his face as the cruel truth dawned upon him. He held out a brilliant monster core, saying it was a small compensation for Jinyu's burial expenses. Miss Zhang was utterly startled when she realized it was an S-rank monster core and quickly refused. "No, this is too precious. I cannot accept it." Without a word of explanation, Fang Wanjia firmly took her hand and placed the core into it. "I overheard your conversation with that priest earlier," he gently said. "Saving your son is more important." He turned back to look at the grave, telling Miss Zhang to go ahead. "I want to be alone with Jinyu for a moment." When he was alone, Fang Wanjia collapsed before the grave, his body trembling with unbearable pain. "Jinyu, look at this," he sobbed, holding out a handful of glittering monster cores like treasure. "I painstakingly collected all these S-rank monster cores for you." He recounted his plan in despair. "I counted them all. Enough to heal you. And I even planned to make a necklace for you with the 5 best ones. But now you're no longer here." The precious cores scattered to the ground, becoming meaningless. Completely broken, he bitterly admitted through tears, "It was all for nothing. Jinyu, I'm sorry." A terrifying surge of dark energy erupted from Fang Wanjia's body, engulfing the entire cemetery. His anguish transformed into dark energy, spreading across the city like a scream. "I couldn't be by your side until the very end." Whoosh! An airship glided across the sky, completely unaware of the tragedy and fury unfolding below. Pulling his hood over his face, Fang Wanjia sobbed in silence, tears ceaselessly falling. An advertising airship blared overhead, praising the Wild Souls Guild for just acquiring their 51st key, and urging people to enter the code "Long Live Jiangkun" for rewards. Hearing his enemy's name, Fang Wanjia's eyes blazed with fire, and dark energy of hatred began to surge violently. Without further words, Fang Wanjia roared in fury, "Jiangkun, die!" then swung his arm, unleashing a massive wave of dark energy towards the airship. Whoosh! The razor-sharp dark energy cleanly sliced the advertising airship in half in an instant. The airship exploded into smithereens, causing Jiangkun, who was sipping wine in a luxurious setting, to stare blankly and wonder, "Huh?" His subordinates rushed in to report, but Jiangkun merely smirked, showing disappointment that his advertisement had been disrupted. Meanwhile, at the cemetery, death energy swirled up like a vortex, engulfing a vast area. Fang Wanjia felt his power recovering, smirking as he declared that thanks to the death energy here, he had regained nearly half of his true strength. The scene shifted to a bustling black market, where neon lights and suspicious characters gathered. Fang Wanjia entered the Awakened Quest and Communication Center, a place for independent practitioners. Inside, various eccentric awakened bustled about, from mages and warriors to even demi-humans. He scanned the crowd, thinking to himself that this was where those who didn't want to be constrained by guilds gathered, and also those mercenaries who got stiffed on their pay. Fang Wanjia bitterly recalled his own past. Returning after 20 years, his gaze upon this place was completely different, no longer naive but full of calculation. He told himself that Jiangkun surely thought he had died long ago. Just then, a pink-haired man bumped into him. The pink-haired thug drew a gun to threaten him, but Fang Wanjia merely coldly thought about hiding and waiting for the right moment for revenge. At a monster parts stall, a muscular man was vehemently haggling with the vendor. The vendor explained that small monsters like these don't have cores, only their hides are sold, so he shouldn't push the price. The muscular customer still wouldn't budge, demanding another 200 off, when a blue-haired young man suddenly interjected, "Wait." The blue-haired young man picked up a piece of the monster's carcass, stating with expertise that the cores of this type of amphibious monster are not found inside their bodies. Fang Wanjia snapped off a monster claw and explained, to move their tentacles, their cores usually grow inside the claws. The muscular man's eyes lit up, and he laughed gleefully. Haha, so it has 6 claws, which means 6 C-grade cores. What a bargain. Fang Wanjia offered a core as a thank you fee, but the muscular man waved it away. No need. I want to ask you for another favor. Fang Wanjia looked straight into his eyes, getting straight to the point. I heard you're about to enter the dungeon. Can I come with you? The muscular man immediately grew wary, questioning. Civilians only ask for money. Why do you want to enter the dungeon? Fang Wanjia fabricated a reason about researching monster species, while thinking to himself that these low-level awakened ones wouldn't believe him if he told the truth about needing to absorb death energy. The muscular man asked directly, What's your innate talent, buddy? Fang Wanjia replied calmly with a hesitant voice. I don't have one, but I'll handle the support role. Just then, a long-haired swordsman shoved Fang Wanjia's shoulder quite painfully and snorted coldly. The swordsman glanced sideways with a look of disdain. Trash without an innate talent should just run errands for a guild. At least you won't die. The muscular man quickly explained, putting an arm around his teammate's shoulder. Don't mind his harsh words. A small team of 3 to 5 like ours can't carry an ordinary person. He even illustrated with a scene of an expedition team torn apart by monsters just because a weak member was dead weight for the whole team. Fang Wanjia completely ignored the taunting, his face expressionless. Suddenly, he pointed at the swordsman's bandaged arm. What happened to your arm? The muscular man burst out laughing, recounting that the swordsman had tried to show off during the guild entrance exam but overestimated himself, which is why he got injured. Fang Wanjia looked at the bleeding wound, stating like an expert, This isn't an ordinary wound. It's also poisoned by a demonic insect. To cure it, you'd need at least half a B-grade core. The swordsman tilted his head up, challenging. Oh, you talk as if you can cure it yourself, huh? Fang Wanjia only smirked mysteriously. He turned to the vendor. Sir, please give me a piece of that monster's claw. He handed the claw piece to the bewildered swordsman. Chew it, then swallow. It turned out that making the swordsman eat the claw was just a diversion. Meanwhile, Fang Wanjia had secretly channeled dark energy to break down the toxin structure in his body. The arrogant swordsman removed his arm bandage, gaping in astonishment when he saw the wound had completely healed. Oh, it's healed? The muscular man slung an arm around Fang Wanjia excitedly, laughing loudly. Haha, who wouldn't want a scholar like you? Welcome to the team. The team walked into an alley, and the muscular man still cautiously instructed. To be safe, let's find one more person with an innate talent before entering the dungeon. A faint red aura followed Fang Wanjia, and a voice echoed, It's him. He's wearing that jacket. The blonde archer stealthily pulled out his phone, dialing a number saved as Big Boss. The archer broke into a sweat when the other end of the line snapped. What? You found my son? He stammered quickly. No, but I have important intelligence. He glanced at Fang Wanjia and reported over the phone. I found a guy wearing your son's jacket. That's right. The scent on him is definitely your son's. The archer wore a sinister smile, his eyes gleaming with malice. He continued into the phone with a chilling tone. Or rather, the scent of your son's corpse. The big boss ordered from the other end of the line. Follow him. Report immediately if anything new happens. The archer immediately obeyed. Understood. The archer hurriedly ran after the group, feigning a casual question to the muscular man. Wait, does your team still need members? He confidently showed off his innate talent. My innate talent is enhanced senses. I am an archer. The muscular man tapped the sword-shaped emblem on his belt, laughing heartily. Haha, it seems we have a full team now. The muscular man summoned a flaming greatsword from the emblem, shouting loudly. Finally, all 5 of us are here. Let's go, team. Fang Wanjia stood behind, casually wondering. 5 people? Including me? Aren't there only 4? The team entered a small forest, where a girl in a horned red cloak was waiting. The muscular man waved in greeting. Sorry to keep you waiting. The muscular man struck up a conversation with the cloaked girl. You always arrive the earliest, don't you get bored? The girl replied coldly. I just don't like crowded places. Fang Wanjia stared at the new member, asking, Is that the 5th member? The cloaked girl suddenly froze, seemingly sensing a familiar power from Fang Wanjia, and a phantom of a blue-horned woman appeared behind her. Fang Wanjia narrowed his eyes, seeing through the girl's true nature. She's not human, but she's not a monster either. Fang Wanjia glanced at the swordsman, thinking to himself, This one hides it well. Even the archer with enhanced senses was fooled. His eyes gleamed with deadly blue light. 40 million monsters farmed isn't a joke. but you can't fool me. He watched the cloaked girl walking among butterflies and noticed something strange. But there's no killing intent at all. First time encountering this type. The muscular man held up the dungeon key, shouting loudly, "Is everyone ready? Let's get to work." He showed off the key without a crown emblem, explaining, "It's just a regular key. It seems this dungeon doesn't have any tough monsters." Whoosh! The key activated. The space rippled and opened a blue energy gate. The shadows of the 5-person team were cast upon the dungeon gate, preparing to enter a new farming session. The muscular team leader led the way, eagerly urging, "Let's go! Let's go! Follow me!" Fang Wanjia followed behind, his mind filled with doubt. Do I really have to follow a disguised monster into the dungeon? The long-haired swordsman turned to Fang Wanjia and lectured him. "Since you saved my life, I advise you not to throw your life away, you monster scholar." Fang Wanjia didn't bother to say much. His darkened eyes flashed with a chilling killing intent. "Shut up!" The swordsman immediately turned pale, sweat pouring down like rain as he felt the terrifying pressure. Startled out of his wits, the swordsman turned away, muttering awkwardly, truly ignorant." Fang Wanjia ignored him, his gaze firm. "It's come to this. There's nothing good about advancing or retreating." He resolutely declared, "Let's go in," and stepped through the spatial threshold. Fang Wanjia alone entered the dungeon gate, radiating dazzling light. Whoosh! As soon as the last person stepped through, the gate immediately slammed shut. He landed in a cracked, rocky area. Below was boiling lava, and above was the gate that had just vanished. The entire team had gathered, and the team leader began to outline the plan. "It seems everyone has arrived. Now, listen to a few things I need to tell you." He pointed at the hellish landscape around them. Although this dungeon doesn't have dangerous monsters, the high temperature and poisonous gas in the air are still enough to kill people. The captain announced the main objective: hunting magma hounds. As their cores and fangs were extremely valuable, he declared he would pair with Aqi, the team's mage, as he specialized in close combat. Mo Xiaoqin, a controller, would go with the archer. As for Fang Wanjia, the rookie, he was assigned the role of a runner, tasked with collecting cores and fangs. Aqi sneered as a pack of magma hounds appeared. "Haha, speak of the devil, and the monsters show up to die." The captain roared, 10 hours, go!" And the entire team charged forward, leaving Fang Wanjia standing alone on the battlefield. A pack of magma hounds snarled, charging straight towards the team from within the sea of flames. A magma hound opened its maw, letting out a piercing shriek, preparing to tear its enemies apart. The captain swung his greatsword, shouting loudly for support. "Aqi, help me!" The muscular man brought his flaming greatsword down, creating a lava wave that swept forward. From within the fiery wave, Aqi summoned a series of dark spikes that shot into the sky. The mage Aqi growled, unleashing his ultimate skill. Icicle rain. Countless ice shards descended from the sky, colliding with the dark spikes. The combined magic formed a storm of razor-sharp ice fragments. Rip! The ice storm tore the magma hounds to shreds, splattering blood everywhere. Aqi glanced at Fang Wanjia with a condescending look. "Start collecting the loot, monster scholar." Fang Wanjia silently approached a corpse, picking up a monster core that was still hot. He used his bare hands to pry a sharp fang from the monster's bloody maw. Holding the blood-stained fang, Fang Wanjia thought to himself, "I'll just endure this for now." Amidst the piles of monster corpses, Fang Wanjia diligently collected the spoils alone. In the darkness, Fang Wanjia's eyes glowed with a deadly blue light, signaling the awakening of his dark power. Fang Wanjia faced 2 snarling magma hounds alone, the tension palpable. Elsewhere, Mo Xiaoqin and the spy archer cautiously walked across the molten rocks. The archer grumbled bitterly. "I came to keep an eye on him, so why am I stuck with her now?" Suddenly, an entire pack of colossal magma hounds emerged from the sea of flames, surrounding the 2 of them. The archer broke out in a cold sweat, realizing the dire situation. Damn it, one moment of carelessness and we're ambushed. Mo Xiaoqin kept her composure, ordering, "Don't panic, wait for my signal." The hooded woman began to channel her power, an invisible energy wave radiating from her. The wave struck a magma hound directly, causing it to freeze instantly. The monster's maw hung open, revealing its single bloodshot eye within, completely controlled. Its entire body stiffened, unable to move, becoming a living target. Mo Xiaoqin decisively called out, "Now!" The archer immediately reported the numbers like a machine. 11 on the right, 6 on the left. He squinted, muttering calculations for a super complex trajectory, even using trigonometric functions. Whoosh! A single arrow, radiating a blue energy stream, was fired at terrifying speed. The arrow struck the first monster's eye directly, cleanly piercing its skull, but it didn't stop there. The arrow changed direction, flying erratically and skewering the heads of 2 other monsters. The magic arrow transformed into a blue streak of light, weaving across the battlefield like a death laser, clearing out the monsters. The archer landed lightly amidst a pile of dissolving monster corpses. While Mo Xiaoqin observed, he caught the arrow as it returned, a smug look on his face. Done. The muscular man roared, boasting of his kills. I got 20, 21 now. While Aqui hovered in the air and replied, I got 17, what about you? Monster blood splattered everywhere, and the muscular man laughed gleefully, but Fang Wanjie just stood there with a bored expression, not bothering to move. Fang Wanjie thought to himself, with these trash D-rank monsters, even farming for 10 hours probably wouldn't restore 1% of my peak power. Aqui taunted Fang Wanjie. Haha, afraid of getting blood on you, are we? While 2 magma hounds lumbered up behind him, Aqui put on a show, firing an ice beam straight at the head of the nearest magma hound. The monster was hit, collapsing but still gasping for breath, not quite dead. The ice spear struck the monster's eye, but it was only enough to injure it, not finish it off. Fang Wanjie realized the mage's fatal mistake, his expression changing. He shouted a warning. Leave it alone. Don't use magic anymore. Just let the muscular man finish it with his sword. Aqui, offended, retorted with a strained neck. You saving my life doesn't give you the right to order me around. He channeled ice energy, roaring, I'll tear you to pieces. Deciding to unleash a stronger skill called Glacial Roar, an extreme surge of cold air enveloped the dying magma hound. The monster's entire body instantly froze, transforming into a colossal ice statue. Fang Wanjie was furious, snapping, You idiot. If you don't kill it instantly, it will evolve. Magic only speeds up the process. While Aqui was still bewildered, the ice block cracked open, and red dark energy poured out from within. From within the smoke, a colossal, grotesque monster emerged, leaving Aqui stunned. What the hell is that? I've never seen anything like it. Despite his astonishment, Aqui decided to go all out. Screw it, just kill it. He summoned an enormous ice spear. The glacial spear was launched at terrifying speed, aimed directly at the newly evolved boss. Clang! The ice spear struck the monster's face and shattered like glass. The evolved monster was unharmed, its single eye glowing menacingly. The blonde green-haired mage screamed in terror as the giant magma monster spewed a destructive stream of magma. Fang Wanjie erupted with dark energy, his eyes piercing. I must intervene. Hellfire engulfed the mage, a sizzling sound echoing as his body was incinerated. The muscular man was stunned as Fang Wanjie glided past like a ghost, grabbing the mage. When did this guy learn to fly? Thud! Fang Wanjie threw the unconscious mage to the ground like a sack. Another team member, the blonde mage, his face pale as a sheet, urged, Boss, let's go. This monster is out of our league. The muscular captain growled, his eyes filled with greed. Are you telling me to leave empty-handed? Who's going to pay you then? The muscular man shouted, ordering, Mo Xiaoqin, control it quickly. And the red-hooded girl immediately flew up in response. Mo Xiaoqin exerted all her strength, her eyes under the hood glowing brightly, but she could only exclaim in helplessness, It's stronger than me. I can't control it. The blonde mage frantically shook the captain's shoulder again. Boss, let's go. A cold voice rang out from Fang Wanjie's direction, cutting through the chaos. You can forget about my payment. The muscular man spun around, his face bewildered, not understanding what was happening. Whoosh! Fang Wanjie had charged straight into the monster's jaws, terrifying the entire team. Madman! That's suicide! The dark energy enveloping Fang Wanjie was sucked in by the monster, and he cried out in alarm as he was pulled straight into its mouth. But immediately after, Fang Wanjie stood firm, his hand radiating dark energy, his eyes full of confidence and defiance. Pierce! He plunged his hand straight into the glowing red energy core, right in the middle of the monster's jaws. The monster's energy core cracked open. Dazzling light poured out from the cracks. The monster roared, firing a massive energy beam. But Fang Wanjie had grown a pair of dark wings and soared into the sky, shouting, Ah, I'm finished! The monster's energy core contracted, then exploded from within. Fang Wanjie landed, observing the weakening monster, and smirked. It's on cooldown. This is my chance. Fang Wanjie was reluctant to act himself. His finger twitched slightly, and a stream of purple dark energy began to form. Suddenly, Aqui found his body enveloped by dark energy, his face blank, not understanding what was happening. The dark energy gathered into a sharp point right in front of Aqui, forcing him to look straight at it. A massive, overwhelmingly powerful dark sword automatically formed in Aqui's hand, making him cry out in terror. What the hell is this? Where did it come from? Akui completely lost control, thrown straight towards the magma boss by an invisible force, his mouth screaming in helplessness. No, 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 I can't. He was thrown straight into the monster's rock armor, letting out a miserable cry. Boom! A terrifying explosion engulfed both Akui and the boss, the dark power tearing through the magma defenses. The monster's diamond-hard armor shattered into pieces under a single blow. Fang Wanjia appeared, his face looking slightly tired, and muttered, "Tisk. Controlling others with death energy is so difficult. I can't control the power at all." Akui knelt on the ground, panting as if completely drained. The dark sword had vanished. He looked up at the heavily wounded boss, his limbs trembling, unable to believe his eyes. Did I do that?" The muscular captain walked over, patted Akui's shoulder and laughed loudly. "Haha, so you were still holding back. You really scared me for a moment." Akui broke out in a cold sweat, his face pale as he heard his boss praise him. "The stronger the enemy you face, the more formidable you become." Ha ha. Standing from afar, Fang Wanjia smirked mockingly, thinking to himself, "And he's taking credit for that?" The mission concluded, the captain slung an arm around another team member, boasting, "A 10-hour mission, and we finished it in 3 hours. What now?" The captain suddenly grew serious. "Actually, I'm thinking about something." He held out a skull-shaped key. "The reason I bought this key so cheaply is because many people have died in that dungeon." A new dungeon gate appeared, looking like a giant, deadly skull-shaped cave. Inside, there's an unexplored cave. No one who has entered has ever returned. The captain turned to look at Akui with expectant eyes. But if Akui can defeat a B-rank monster, do we want to go in and check it out? This made him speechless with fear. Meanwhile, Fang Wanjia just stood silently in a corner, his finger idly playing with a stream of dark energy, clearly attracted by this new dungeon. The muscular captain slapped Akui's shoulder, laughing heartily. "Big Brother Tui has decided, let's go, brothers." The entire team entered the skull-shaped dungeon gate. Inside was a cave glowing red like hellfire magma. The captain, wielding his flaming greatsword, led the way, seriously instructing, "The path here is very winding. Stick close." As soon as he turned his head, he saw no one. His face bewildered, he asked, "Huh? Where did everyone go?" It turned out the whole group was clinging tightly to Akui like barnacles. The captain also quickly grabbed him. "Never mind, just stick with Big Brother Kui and we'll be fine." Meanwhile, Fang Wanjia had already separated from the group at some point, silently entering another dark passage alone. He analyzed the situation calmly. The monsters in the cave usually wait for people to enter before blocking the exit, so they must be ambushing in the side passages. As soon as he finished speaking, countless sharp slashes tore through the ground. A small dark figure with glowing eyes peeked out from behind a rock, secretly observing Fang Wanjia. A strange brown-haired man appeared from the shadows, smiling sinisterly. "I want to talk to him alone now, and no one will see." Fang Wanjia merely glanced, his face bored. He replied, "Oh." Suddenly, a horde of gigantic, horned, rock-armored monsters with blood-red eyes appeared, surrounding Fang Wanjia. The brown-haired man turned pale with fear, muttering, "At this level, even a B rank awakened would be wiped out. Damn it. I just found a clue. Slash." Before he could react, the entire horde of monsters was sliced into 100 pieces in the blink of an eye. The brown-haired man froze, his mouth agape and eyes wide, not understanding what the hell had just happened. A stream of blue sword energy grazed the face of a monster, so fast that it didn't even realize it was about to die. Crash, crash, crash. The entire horde shattered like pottery under an invisible force, without any resistance. Fang Wanjia stood in the middle of the battlefield, blue dark energy swirling around him. "I need enemies like you, otherwise who knows when I'll recover my death energy." From the deep darkness, a gigantic, glowing red eye slowly opened, signaling the appearance of the final boss. A gigantic monster, engulfed in raging flames, stood towering before him, but Fang Wanjia merely smirked. Finally, something interesting. The fire boss roared, launching a hellfire punch straight towards Fang Wanjia. It continued to spew a destructive volcanic flame stream, determined to incinerate everything. Fang Wanjia calmly raised his hand, and a blue dark energy vortex appeared, blocking the flames. The dark energy orb began to swell, devouring the boss's entire attack. Boom! The dark energy orb easily absorbed the flame stream, remaining unscathed. Fang Wanjia smirked, his eyes full of challenge. "Is that all you've got? Are you looking down on me?" He channeled his energy, and the dark energy orb in his hand erupted with power, crushing the fire boss. The giant dark energy orb enveloped the monster, draining its life force as it struggled helplessly. The dark energy exploded, and the boss was officially annihilated. Elsewhere in the dungeon, the muscular man and the blonde mage were startled by the tremor. What the hell is going on? A dark energy orb shot straight into a rocky mountain, causing a terrifying explosion. Dense black death energy from the monster corpses began to gather. All the death energy was drawn towards Fang Wanjie, making him look like a god of death harvesting souls. The spy archer hiding nearby broke out in a cold sweat, muttering his report. That bastard was hiding his true strength. Boss Zhang, the one who killed your son is an opponent I cannot handle. Fang Wanjie suddenly spun around, his sharp gaze sweeping towards the spy. Who's there? The archer's heart pounded, his face turned pale. Damn it, he saw me. Fang Wanjie dashed forward with terrifying speed, leaving a blue blur in his wake, even slicing through magma. The archer panicked. He could only cover his head in resignation as he saw the protagonist charging. It's over. There's no escaping now. Fang Wanjie descended from the air, and the archer could only look up in despair. You think you can hide from me underground? Fang Wanjie roared, unleashing an earth-shattering punch down onto the spy's hiding spot. Thinking she could ambush the protagonist, the red-hooded assassin was grabbed by the neck like a chick by Fang Wanjie, her face showing clear horror. She even dared to retaliate, swinging her sword to create a crimson energy stream in an attempt to counterattack. But the skill gap was too vast. Fang Wanjie merely tightened his grip slightly, and the girl coughed up blood. Suddenly, her body melted into a red liquid, seemingly a bizarre escape skill. The liquid reformed into a human shape behind Fang Wanjie, and Mo Xiaoqin, her face pale, exclaimed, "You truly are a monster." Fang Wanjie spun around, his fiery gaze fixed on her face, and growled, "Why are you following me? Lie, and you die." Mo Xiaoqin confessed that she knew he blew up the airship at the cemetery and wanted to kill Jiang Kun. It turned out, in a flashback, that she herself had disguised herself and hidden in ambush to observe Fang Wanjie that day. Mo Xiaoqin ground her teeth and snarled, "Coincidentally, I also want to kill that bastard Jiang Kun." She added a psychological blow, reminding him that the archer was still eavesdropping nearby, challenging Fang Wanjie to deal with him. Fang Wanjie remained silent. The situation seemed to have taken an unexpected turn for him. Finally, he decided to let it go for now. "I'll let you live. Just pretend we never met." With that said, Fang Wanjie turned his back and walked away coolly, leaving Mo Xiaoqin rooted to the spot. Leaving the battlefield, Fang Wanjie bent down to collect the loot, while Mo Xiaoqin still watched from behind. She curiously asked what he was doing, still reeling from her narrow escape from death. Fang Wanjie raised a monster core and calmly replied like a true support class. "I'm a support, so of course I have to collect cores, don't I?" 5 hours later, the Muscular Man's and Aqui's team casually entered the cave, and one of the team members flattered that Aqui's presence alone had scared the monsters away. The muscular team leader turned to ask Fang Wanjie if he noticed anything unusual, and received a "not at all" with a meaningful smile. The scene shifted to a quiet forest, where 2 rabbits were leisurely grazing under the moonlight. Suddenly, a swirling blue and red energy orb appeared in midair, signaling an impending new danger. The muscular team leader strode forward aggressively, ordering Fang Wanjie, "Let me see how much loot you've collected." He sneered when he saw a few monster cores in Fang Wanjie's hand, his contempt evident. "Is this all?" "Just as I thought." Bringing along a mere civilian, Fang Wanjie calmly reached into his jacket pocket, pulling out another pile of glittering monster cores. An entire mountain of monster cores was spilled out, making the muscular man gape. "How the hell did you carry all of this?" The muscular man's attitude did a 180-degree turn, his eyes sparkling like stars, and he eagerly invited, "Haha, let's go for drinks. It's my treat tonight." Fang Wanjie coldly refused, glancing at the archer lurking in the distance, then walked away. "No need, I'm leaving." The swordsman Aqi watched him leave in annoyance, pulled out his phone and called someone. "Forget him, we can still go." Aqi resentfully reported to his boss over the phone, his voice full of resentment. "Boss, I can't handle him alone. Give me 3 men, and I'll bring back the head of the one who killed your son within an hour." Alone in the forest, Fang Wanjie felt the amount of death energy collected was too meager, and decided that next time he needed to find a higher-level dungeon. Suddenly, a punch enveloped in brilliant golden energy shot towards him with terrifying speed. Fang Wanjie barely managed to raise his arm to block. The immense impact force sent Fang Wanjie flying back dozens of meters. He muttered, "That's heavy." He looked up. A giant blue energy orb was being hurled by his opponent, accompanied by a taunt. "You think just because you also use death energy, you can confront me directly?" But as soon as the energy orb touched an invisible shield, it was completely absorbed by a golden, ancient rune magic circle. Fang Wanjie looked at the death energy in his hand and began to realize something was wrong. Why do I feel like these abilities specifically counter mine? A 3-person squad appeared. A monk activating a magic formation, an assassin woman with red skeletal wings, and a rather arrogant-looking thug. The archer stepped out from somewhere and sneered. Heh, you surprised me in the cave. So I called in some specialists to specifically deal with you. He drew his bow, knocking a strangely designed arrow. The archer aimed straight at Fang Wanjia and confidently declared, "Don't worry, I won't kill you. I'll just break your arms and legs." Whoosh! The arrow shot forth with wind-rending speed, gouging the ground along its flight path. The arrow stopped right in front of Fang Wanjia, but he merely stood still, his hair and eyes flaring with a blue aura, preparing to activate slaughter mode. The monk began chanting, a glowing golden circle of ancient runes surrounding his hands. The orange-haired thug was startled when he saw the target vanish. Huh? Where is he? Suddenly, a massive red magic circle erupted beneath Fang Wanjia's feet, binding him in place. The monk completed his hand seals, activating a support skill for his teammates. Frenzied arrow rain. The archer's arrows were enhanced, duplicating into a storm that rained down, pinning Fang Wanjia to the ground. Invisible energy threads tightened around Fang Wanjia, attempting to tear his body apart. The archer fired another arrow, challenging, "Try dodging this." A mere novice daring to show off. Fang Wanjia tilted his head, catching the terrifyingly fast arrow cleanly between his teeth. But the archer merely sneered, a detonator already in his hand. It turned out to be a trap. The arrow exploded into a blinding sphere of light, and he yelled, "This magnesium oxide arrow was specially made for you." Fang Wanjia was hit directly in the face by the intense light, muttering, "I'm completely blind." Seizing the opportunity, the female assassin unleashed her skill, a giant skeletal hand made of red energy lunging at the disoriented Fang Wanjia. She showed admiration. To last this long before being caught, this fluffy-haired guy is quite impressive. The archer instructed the thug, named Sheng Ti, "Keep him alive, don't hit him too hard." Sheng Ti smirked savagely. "Don't worry." He activated his weapon, a pair of glowing mechanical gauntlets covering his fists. Sheng Ti charged forward, unleashing a devastating punch at Fang Wanjia, growling, "But I can't guarantee he'll still be able to speak." Just before the punch landed, Fang Wanjia spat out a small, pitch-black object, spinning like a bullet. Crack! Sheng Ti's high-tech gauntlets shattered, blood splattering from his arm in utter astonishment. Sheng Ti let out a miserable scream, his mangled arm lying in a pool of blood. Crack! Fang Wanjia tensed, shattering the red bone cage that bound him. The skeletal winged assassin's eyes widened, unable to believe the sudden turn of events. She gritted her teeth, trying to exert her power to regain control of the dark energy slipping from her grasp. Fang Wanjia, now erupting in a surge of purple dark energy, sneered contemptuously. "You dare challenge me with such meager spiritual power?" With that, he unleashed a lightning kick to her side, roaring, "Stop messing around." The female assassin coughed up blood, taking the full force of the devastating kick and nearly losing consciousness. The bald monk quickly formed hand seals, and a glowing golden magic circle with ancient runes appeared. Divine step teleportation. The archer's arrow was blocked by the magic circle, and Fang Wanjia clicked his tongue in annoyance. "Tisk, this trick again. I've lost my patience with you all." Fang Wanjia roared, swinging his fist directly at the defensive magic circle. Wham! His fist tore through the defense like paper, smashing the monk's jaw. From a distance, the archer still held his firing stance, not yet realizing his teammate had been thoroughly defeated. With a whoosh, Fang Wanjia appeared right in front of the archer, his hand grabbing the man's head. The archer froze, horrified as he watched Fang Wanjia's hand gripping his bow. He used both hands to snap the bow in half, without expending any effort. Crack! The high-quality bow was effortlessly broken in two. The archer broke out in a cold sweat, his face pale as he thought, He broke my 400-pound bow without even blinking." Fang Wanjia grabbed the archer by the collar, his icy gaze fixed on the man's face. He lifted the man off the ground, commanding, "Speak, who sent you?" While the other only struggled and screamed to be let down. Fang Wanjia glanced at the defeated opponents, muttering that if this involved Jiang Kun, he would have to clean up the whole bunch to silence them. He twisted the archer's ear, his voice full of sarcasm. "Heh, don't you know whose clothes you're wearing?" Fang Wanjia growled, revealing the reason. "You killed the big boss' son, and now you're playing dumb?" Meanwhile, the original owner of the jacket grimaced, thinking, "When I picked up this jacket, I never expected to get into this much trouble." Without further ado, Fang Wanjia threw the archer aside and commanded, "Which big boss? Take me to him." A classic luxury car appeared, with a glowing, powerful, big character symbol on its hood. The car glided through the night, its headlights cutting a bright path on the deserted road. Inside the car, the pale-faced archer sat silently next to the one-eyed driver. A bespectacled manager spoke up, reporting to Manager Liu that he had brought the person back despite a slight incident, then muttered, "I hope the big boss won't ask for the 3 million back, right?" Manager Liu snapped, warning that the big boss had specifically ordered no talking until they reached the manor. "So shut up." The archer broke out in a cold sweat, hastily obeying mechanically. "Oh, understood." The car approached the gate of a massive manor, its headlights illuminating the sturdy iron gate. The gate slowly opened under the starry night sky, welcoming the car inside. With a whoosh, the car sped through the gate, entering the vast grounds within. Slam! The heavy iron gate closed shut right after. In the grand hall, 2 blue-armored guards escorted the person before a colossal throne made of countless swords. An old man with gray hair, his face full of murderous intent, sat regally on the throne, exuding the aura of an absolute superior. His eyes glared, veins bulging with anger, a terrifying pressure enveloping the entire space. The archer tried to flatter. Even with such a strong enemy, the big boss personally came to meet him. How admirable. While the original owner of the jacket stood silently behind. The big boss growled, cutting off the archer's flattery. "Was I talking to you?" Which made the man fall silent, sweating profusely. He glared, radiating murderous intent. "You brat." Fang Wanjia raised his head, smirking defiantly. "Greetings, big boss." The boss asked directly, "Do you know why I sent a car to pick you up?" While Fang Wanjia looked bewildered, the boss revealed his trump card. "Because I hired 5 control mages to set up an anti-talent domain." His eyes were bloodshot, and his voice was full of malice. "I was afraid you'd sense it and wouldn't dare to step inside." Fang Wanjia tried to circulate his energy but failed, realizing he couldn't use his spiritual energy. Even though the energy barrier seemed very thin, he muttered with a tense expression. "It's not that simple." He realized the problem. The chair he was sitting on was likely amplifying the domain's power. The entire area was enveloped by a purple barrier, completely sealing all talents, ensuring Fang Wanjia couldn't use even a shred of power. The archer laughed triumphantly. "Haha. Surprised, aren't you, punk?" He boasted about his achievement. "Manager Liu in the car signaled me not to speak, so I used my enhanced senses to message the boss on how to pinpoint you with the phone in my pocket." The boss rose from his throne of swords, taking imposing steps towards Fang Wanjia. The boss and Fang Wanjia stood face to face, the old boss's presence completely overwhelming. He grabbed Fang Wanjia's collar and roared. "Then, answer me, truthfully. Who sent you to kill my son?" Fang Wanjia calmly replied, "Honestly, I didn't kill anyone. As for this jacket..." The archer lost patience, rushing forward, intending to break the young man's leg. "Still running your mouth, huh? Do you think I won't cripple your legs?" Fang Wanjia's blue eyes flashed with a cold, dangerous light. Whoosh! The black-haired young man vanished in a blur, lunging straight towards the boss to his utter surprise. The archer shrieked in agony as his hand was crushed. Fang Wanjia growled, completely out of patience. "You guys dragged me into this misunderstanding, and I've had enough." Bang! The young man unleashed a devastating kick, sending the archer flying and shattering the ground. As soon as he dealt with the archer, Fang Wanjia immediately felt countless red laser sights fixed on him. The boss paid no mind, continuing to interrogate with a barrage of laser sights aimed at him. "You still haven't answered me. Did the Black Dragon Gang send you?" Fang Wanjia looked exasperated, trying to explain. "No. Listen to me first." The young man yelled in desperation as the boss continued to list his enemies. "No. I told you I just picked it up by chance." The boss lost patience and roared. "Still running your mouth. You're so shameless you dare to wear my son's jacket." He gave a decisive order to the sniper team. "Shoot. Except for the part I'm standing on, blast him to pieces for me." Fang Wanjia's blue eyes flashed with a deadly light, and murderous intent erupted. A brutal image appeared in his mind, a scarred conqueror, standing on the corpses of his enemies. Suddenly, Fang Wanjia lunged forward, using his body to shield the boss himself, leaving the old man stunned. A stream of purple dark energy began to pour out from Fang Wanjia, blocking the laser projectiles. The dark energy spread out, forming a complex, spiderweb-like network, neutralizing all the laser sights. The sniper team in various positions were all startled as their guns were tightly wrapped by something. The purple energy tightened, and desperate screams echoed from all the hidden positions. Fang Wanjia growled, his hair turning dark blue as he used dark energy to drag the entire sniper team to the ground. "All of you, get down here." Amidst a pile of scattered snipers, the young man dusted his hands and coldly asked the boss, "Now, Are you calm enough to listen to me? The boss stood frozen, realizing his fatal mistake. I thought the barrier and the snipers would be double insurance, but their scopes pierced the barrier, creating an opportunity for him to exploit. The boss broke out in a cold sweat, asking with a trembling voice, "What the hell do you want to say?" Fang Wanjia merely looked annoyed, not bothering to reply. The young man calmly pulled out something from inside his jacket. It was a torn piece of a hoodie sleeve, which looked quite familiar. Fang Wanjia held up the piece of fabric and declared bluntly, "If this belongs to your son, I'll return it. I found it in a hunter's cabin in Shuhai." The yellow-green-haired mage flinched upon hearing the name Shuhai. He pointed to the wound on his hand, bitterly recounting, "Do you remember this wound? It was caused by one of them." Fang Wanjia teased, "Weren't you guys out for a few drinks?" Making the mage's face turn red as he stammered, "Haha, don't mention it again." A flashback showed the whole team went drinking. The muscular captain collapsed after one drink, so the fed-up mage went to take an urgent mission. The mage hastily waved his hand, explaining to the boss, "Please don't misunderstand. I only intended to disable the sniper rifles. I had no intention of harming any of you." Another soldier, with a bruised face, interjected, "I heard Raging Souls recruited an A-rank awakened. I think he's also a hunter from Shuhai." The yellow-green-haired mage yelled furiously, "That's right, that pervert has a cannibal. The bite mark on my collarbone was also caused by him." Fang Wanjia narrowed his eyes, muttering two heavy words. Cannibalism. He recalled the scene in the wooden cabin, where a complete human skeleton was displayed on the table, and he had thought it was just a cheap prop. The boss's face darkened. He began to believe that the skeleton belonged to his son. Without a moment's hesitation, the boss turned and ordered Manager Lu, "Arrange a helicopter to Shuhai immediately." Night enveloped the dense Shuhai forest, signaling a far from peaceful journey. Whoosh! A helicopter tore through the silence, flying straight to the target. Fang Wanjia and the yellow-green-haired mage together entered the mysterious wooden cabin in the forest. The scarred soldier examined the skeleton, confirming with certainty, "The smell is a bit different, and there's poison, but the teeth marks match the bite on Aquis' collarbone." He carefully inspected the skull, concluding, "Coupled with the jawline, there's no mistake." The soldier turned to the boss with a serious expression. "It's definitely the young master's remains. The cause of death is..." Before he could finish his sentence, the boss let out a miserable cry, the pain tearing through the entire room. He embraced the skeleton, tears streaming down like rain, his voice full of regret. "Why didn't you listen to your father?" The flashback returned to the office, where the young son was facing his father and Manager Lu, a blue energy orb hovering in his hand. In the past, Big Boss scoffed, lecturing his son, "What good is power? I have no power, yet I'm surrounded by a crowd of awakened. Stay and work for the company. Making money is the right path." The son clenched the energy orb, straining his neck to argue back, "I'll never be better at making money than you in this lifetime. The only way for you to acknowledge me is to become a respected awakened." With that, he turned his back and walked straight out the door, without a moment's hesitation. The son returned with a beaming face, declaring confidently, "I've found an extremely powerful master, and training begins tomorrow. The next time we meet, it'll make your jaw drop." Manager Lu asked Big Boss worriedly, "The young master is going so far for the first time. Do you need me to accompany him?" Big Boss waved it off, his voice full of self-satisfaction. "No need. At his age, I had already been making my way in the world for many years. Just let him go out and train. Otherwise, how can he inherit my company?" Returning to the present, Big Boss gnashed his teeth, his eyes blazing with hatred and regret. "It's all my fault. I will avenge you." He sprang to his feet, clutching the skeleton in his hands, and roared, "Who the hell killed my son?" The soldier immediately reported, "He is a member of the Mountain Peak team of the Raging Souls Guild. Both the Mountain Peak team and the Fire Squad received direct orders from Jiang Kun, and all are awakened of B rank or higher." Big Boss gently placed his son's skeleton onto the sofa, every movement filled with belated reverence. Big Boss's face was shrouded in shadow, radiating murderous intent, as he ordered Manager Lu, "Lu, call everyone you can." Manager Lu wiped away tears while trying to dissuade him. "Big Boss, I am also heartbroken for the young master, but confronting a top-tier guild like Raging Souls head-on, our chances of winning are zero." He continued his analysis, his voice full of worry. "Furthermore, Jiang Kun has recently been active in charity work, and his public image is very good. If we go after him, the entire society will turn its back on us, and our company thrives on its reputation." Manager Lu clenched his fists, his eyes flashing with determination. "But if the Big Boss has decided to fight, I will go prepare immediately." The big boss embraced his son's skeleton, tears welling up in his eyes, whispering in pain, "Let's go home, my son." Glancing over the crowd, the big boss gritted his teeth and swore, "Give me some time. I will soon bring the killer's head to you." In another room, Akui and his companions were discussing, expressing doubt. Strange, how could Quan Zhao's poison kill the young master? It looks as weak as a C-rank poison. Akui recalled the terrifying battle, where the opponent's poison, even a slight graze, was enough to pierce his ice armor. The flashback continued. Akui was in the arena, hastily shouting, "I give up." But his beast-like opponent did not stop. The frenzied fighter grabbed Akui tightly, roaring, "Hey, are you deaf? I said I give up." Back in the present, Akui concluded with a bitter expression that the skill gap was too vast, while Fang Wanjia stood silently right behind him. Fang Wanjia inspected an empty warehouse, muttering, "Just as I thought, the A+ rank core has been taken, probably by the king of Quanzhou." In an empty lot, the big boss's subordinates were carefully collecting more skeletons into crates to load onto a helicopter. The big boss suddenly changed his demeanor, approaching Fang Wanjia with a conciliatory tone. "My friend, we have a slight misunderstanding. I just want to find my son. You understand, right?" The old man continued, his eyes sharp. "To show my gratitude, just tell me what you want." Fang Wanjia didn't waste words, getting straight to the point. "Give me a coat, one that can conceal my face." As night fell, the majestic headquarters of the Raging Soul Guild, the Mountain Academy, appeared. Fang Wanjia, now wearing a hooded coat, advanced alone, stopped by two guards. "Hey, interview time is over. Come back tomorrow." Pop. The heads of the two guards exploded like watermelons, and the signboard above the gate shattered as Fang Wanjia silently walked past. Inside, the other guards met the same fate, torn apart by surges of dark energy and falling en masse. Fang Wanjia stood in the hall, dark energy swirling around him, staring at the wall filled with Jiang Kun's charity photos. A perfect charade. A group of guild members inside noticed the commotion, and a leader among them spoke with disdain. "Who's this thug?" Without a word in response, Fang Wanjia summoned a colossal dark sword, ready to clear out the trash. The Raging Soul Guild's lackeys roared, "You barged in yourself. Don't blame us for ganging up on you." Fang Wanjia took a stance, the dark sword in his hand radiating a chilling killing intent, ready for a massacre. Whoosh! In just an instant, the entire horde of small fry was wiped out, limbs scattered everywhere by the dark sword strikes. A survivor trembled, stammering in fear as Fang Wanjia approached. "Ah, no, don't come here." Fang Wanjia ordered coldly, his eyes flashing with blue light. "Your new hunter, call him out here." The lackey was scared out of his wits, quickly turning to flee. "Yes, I'm going right now." No sooner had he spoken than a fresh streak of red blood tore through his body, his head severed from his neck in astonishment. On the rooftop, a man in a fur coat with a bestial face appeared, sneering, "No need to call, your daddy's here." The bestial fighter continued to taunt as two other A-rank companions appeared behind him. "Oh, I forgot to mention, your two other A-rank daddies are here too." Fang Wanjia frowned in analysis, immediately realizing the problem. This behavior is clearly a degeneration caused by being forced to consume too many monster cores before reaching the appropriate level. He raised his head, pointing directly at the two newcomers. "You two in the back, I didn't come for you, so if you know what's good for you, get lost." The hat-wearing man chuckled faintly. "Heh, this little brother is a bit too arrogant. He only killed a few B-rank nobodies." The white-haired mage also smiled maliciously. "I have a proposition. Let's tear him into 3 pieces and see who gets the biggest share. I bet a B-rank core." Fang Wanjia smirked, his eyes gleaming with triumph. "My bait has been taken. I was just worried I wouldn't find any death energy here." The 3 A-rank bosses simultaneously lunged to attack from 3 directions, determined to devour the intruder alive. Fang Wanjia lightly swung his sword, and swirling dark energy easily blocked all 3 attacks at once. The white-haired mage transformed her sword into a thorny whip, exclaiming in surprise, "You're quite strong. What a surprise." The hat-wearing man unleashed energy darts, shouting loudly, "Stop messing around with him. Get serious." Fang Wanjia stood still, dark energy dripping from his fingertips, his voice full of sarcasm. "Serious? Do you even have a chance to be serious?" He raised a finger, pointed at the ground, and commanded, "Look beneath your feet." Beneath the feet of the 2 A-rank bosses, countless dark spikes erupted from the ground, impaling them amidst their desperate screams. A pink poisonous energy ray grazed Fang Wanjia's face, but he merely glanced at it, not bothering to dodge. The fur-clad fighter roared, his hands spewing poisonous flames, while Fang Wanjia casually asked, "Still using childish tricks to fight me?" It seems you're overestimating yourself, Feng Wanjie said coldly, blue dark energy swirling around him as he reached out his hand. Are you calling your daddy trash? The enraged fighter yelled, unleashing a poison strike directly at his opponent's face. Without a moment's hesitation, Feng Wanjie plunged his head directly into the pink toxin stream, his eyes sharp. The attack was useless. The poison merely splattered onto his mask without causing any damage. Ah! My face! The fur-clad fighter screamed, clutching his face as his own poison rebounded, corroding his flesh. With a squelch, Feng Wanjie grabbed the head of the fighter, who was screaming in agony. Slam! Without a word, he forcefully smashed the enemy's face into the stone floor. Clutching the fighter's collar, Feng Wanjie said contemptuously, "Hasn't anyone told you? Those who only rely on their age to act superior are all trash." Humiliated, the fighter's face contorted, shedding its human skin to reveal a monstrous jaw with green scales and jagged fangs, growling, "Damn it, don't look down on me." From within the human mouth, a hideous lizard head emerged, opening wide to swallow Feng Wanjie. Feng Wanjie's expression remained unchanged as he coldly plunged his sword straight into the monster's throat. He pulled out his sword and delivered a lesson. If your level isn't high enough, don't try to absorb monster cores beyond your rank. Whoosh! The lizard monster's head was severed, and the fighter's body collapsed to the floor. Feng Wanjie smirked with satisfaction, whispering, "Oh, thank you." A stranger with blonde hair and a tattoo on his head appeared, staring at the monster's corpse. The tattooed man muttered that Jiang Kun had insisted on making this country bumpkin his second in command, and he was racking his brain trying to get rid of him without displeasing the boss. Feng Wanjie turned to look at the tattooed man, showing interest. "Wow, that slash reached 70% of my skill level. Join me, no need for a test." The tattooed man grinned sinisterly, while Jiang Kun stood beside him, his expression shifting as he recognized his old enemy. "It's him." Feng Wanjie's eyes flashed with killing intent, and his blue aura erupted fiercely. The tattooed man froze, trembling as he felt the terrifying pressure emanating from Feng Wanjie. The tattooed man stammered, "What? Do we know each other?" Feng Wanjie lunged forward like a ghost, growling, "Even if you shed your skin, I'd still recognize your bones." The tattooed man instantly ignited flames to block the attack, narrowly escaping death, and sighed in relief. "Phew, I almost lost my head." Feng Wanjie ripped off his jacket, mocking, "Ha, you're quick to strip. Trash comes here every day, but today seems especially insane." Feng Wanjie squinted, analyzing. "A fire attribute ability? Even though I didn't see him move at all." The tattooed man drew a dagger, preparing seriously. The tattooed man pointed at the corpse of the white-haired awakened woman, lecturing, "You killed 3 A ranks, so you're probably in the top 200 A ranks." He continued to boast, "But you've chosen the wrong opponent to challenge." The tattooed man tensed up, golden energy erupting around him, shouting, "I'm in the top 100, you know." Feng Wanjie easily blocked the tattooed man's flame-wrapped punch with one hand. The tattooed man sneered, seeing his opponent block the attack, but Feng Wanjie calmly held his arm tightly. Feng Wanjie threw a hook punch to the tattooed man's stomach, forcing him to retreat. Feng Wanjie looked at his smoking arm, wondering, "I blocked his attack, so why am I burned?" The tattooed man scoffed, "Huh, analyzing my innate ability? Do you even have the brains for that?" He roared, charging forward. "The fighting style of a top 100 isn't something brainless fools like you can comprehend." Feng Wanjie lightly lifted a paving stone, as if it weighed nothing. Whoosh! Feng Wanjie hurled the paving stone directly at the charging tattooed man's face. Splat! The paving stone shattered as it collided with a blazing fireball. The tattooed man tensed, flames erupting around him, and shouted, "It's useless!" But he immediately froze as a spike of dark energy shot straight towards his face. The tattooed man roared, "You think you're the only one with weapons?" Then threw a fiery punch to block the attack. Feng Wanjie glided forward, a dark sword already in his hand, realizing in his mind, "I see. This guy isn't fire attribute." Whoosh! Feng Wanjie unleashed a powerful arcing slash. The tattooed man hastily retreated to dodge. Dark energy enveloped Feng Wanjie's hands, ready for a brutal hand-to-hand fight. The tattooed man was seized, his face filled with confusion. "Everyone has an innate ability. Why is he charging in to fight me barehanded?" Feng Wanjie closed in, unleashing a flurry of lightning-fast attacks on his opponent's face and chest. The two clashed, creating an energy explosion that cracked the ground around them. Feng Wanjie completely overwhelmed him, repeatedly punching the tattooed man, leaving him breathless. Feng Wanjie taunted as he fought. "Why don't you burn me anymore? Are my attacks too fast for you to concentrate?" He continued to analyze. "So you can't use your brain to accelerate electrons anymore, right? The tattooed man broke out in a cold sweat, unable to believe his ears. What? How could he understand after just a few moves? Fang Wanjie coldly grabbed his arm, dark energy flaring up. He smirked. Confused now? Confusion is good. Fang Wanjie recalled earlier, the metal zipper on his jacket suddenly caught fire. But when standing at close range, his thin clothes were only lightly singed. He deduced. And then when you burned the paving stone at that speed, I finally understood that it's because there's metal in the stone, with many free electrons, which is why you heated them up so quickly, right? To verify, Fang Wanjie attacked with his spirit sword, and as expected, the tattooed man dodged instead of burning the sword made of pure energy. Fang Wanjie coldly declared, a mental manipulation ability becomes useless if the awakened is completely overwhelmed. The tattooed man scrambled up from the rubble, his bruised face filled with resentment. You dare call me useless? He straightened up, growling defiantly. You've only understood the surface. Don't get complacent. Flames began to erupt around him as he exerted his full strength. When I use my full power, it's not just electrons. Energy exploded fiercely, but hundreds of other types of particles can also be accelerated. Bloodied at the mouth, he laughed maniacally, and create a heat field hot enough to burn you alive. He unleashed a gigantic fireball, vowing to turn Fang Wanjie to ashes. But the attack was nothing. The tattooed man was utterly terrified when he saw that his arm had been severed at some point. Whoosh, whoosh, Fang Wanjie's dark slashes tore through his body in an instant. The tattooed man collapsed to the ground, his limbs severed, screaming miserably in a pool of blood. Fang Wanjie stood amidst the sea of flames, coldly reiterating the lesson. Didn't you hear? Spiritual energy is void. It has no physical particles. With no way out, the tattooed man whimpered, begging, You win! Please spare my life! Fang Wanjie pointed his spirit sword directly at his face, his voice devoid of emotion. Don't worry. I'll send Jiang Kun down to reunite with you right after this. The tattooed man panicked completely as the sharp blade pressed against his face. Ah. Wait. A faint memory of a black-haired girl in danger suddenly flashed in Fang Wanjie's mind. The tattooed man screamed his last words. Don't kill me. Su Jinyu, she. Fang Wanjie froze, his eyes flashing with surprise and confusion. Jinyu? Slash. Even though he tried to stop his hand, the momentum of the slash still cleanly pierced a hole through the tattooed man's chest. Fang Wanjie grabbed the dying man's collar, roaring in anger. Hey, don't die. What happened to Jinyu? But it was too late. The tattooed man breathed his last, leaving Fang Wanjie with an unfinished question and a deadly clue. Fang Wanjie clicked his tongue in annoyance, standing on the corpse of the tattooed head thug he had just impaled. Amidst a battlefield littered with the corpses of minions, he was still haunted by the question. Jinyu. What on earth was she trying to say? Surprisingly, Sheng Ti, who was thought to have perished, was still bleeding but not entirely dead. He grinned savagely, proving that he was incredibly resilient. Deep down, Sheng Ti admitted he had almost died if he hadn't managed to separate the particles in his heart in time. Astonished by how strong Fang Wanjie had become after 20 years, he was confident he could reattach his limbs within 10 minutes, and was determined to report this to Jiang Kun immediately. His monk accomplice was also clinging to life, but one arm had been crushed into a messy pulp. He panicked as he felt an invisible force tearing his body apart, not understanding what was happening. Sharp, dark spikes suddenly pierced through him, turning him into a walking sieve. The monk only managed to let out a final scream in utter despair. His entire body exploded into fragments, sucked into an energy vortex, and vanishing into nothingness. Fang Wanjie stood there, having returned to his usual appearance, coldly watching everything being obliterated. He coldly declared, I originally intended to keep a low profile, but now I have no choice but to erase all evidence. Standing on the rooftop of a tall building, he wondered if anyone would discover this massacre. From a distance, a female figure in a tight-fitting suit watched Fang Wanjie leave. Mo Xiaoqin, the girl with green horns, hid behind a pillar, thinking to herself, what a reckless one. Doesn't he think before acting? Another girl in a maid outfit also angrily walked away, muttering that her plan had been ruined. The scene shifts to a flashback, where Jiang Kun was facing a gigantic mantis monster, radiating an immense aura. His subordinates anxiously tried to dissuade him. Brother Kun, are you really going in? That's an A-rank monster. Jiang Kun smirked, full of confidence. Why not? Don't you know I've just been ranked A2? The A-rank mantis monster roared in defiance, declaring it would show the small fry before its true power. Jiang Kun charged forward like a god, dodging the monster's attack and swinging his sword directly at its head. He boasted loudly, ordering his subordinates to record the moment he solo killed the first A-rank monster of his career. The moment he finished speaking, Jiang-kun froze as he saw his slash had no effect, only leaving a few red energy cracks. His premature boasting backfired. The mantis pierced a leg straight through Jiang-kun's chest, making him scream in pain. He realized he had fallen into a trap. The entire battle had been an illusion created by the monster's eyes. His subordinates cried out in panic. One quickly ran to call for reinforcements while the other urged Jiang-kun to flee quickly. The monster raised a sharp claw, preparing to finish off Jiang-kun in his helplessness. It launched its decisive blow, but a golden streak of light blocked the claw just a few centimeters from Jiang-kun's face. Just as death was imminent, a blonde angel suddenly appeared, scooped Jiang-kun up and narrowly dodged the attack. The monster roared furiously, unleashing countless tentacles, but the winged entity easily dodged them all. The blonde angel landed, gently set Jiang-kun down, and promised to heal him as soon as they escaped. A brilliant golden magic circle lit up, enveloping Jiang-kun in a warm stream of healing energy. The fatal wound on his chest healed instantly, and Jiang-kun slowly regained consciousness. He dazedly wondered if he had gone to heaven upon seeing the face of his savior. The flashback ended, and Jiang-kun was awakened by the incessant ringing of his phone in the middle of the night, with two demi-human girls beside him. He sat up irritably, snapped into the phone, demanding that the other end have truly important news. Jiang-kun froze when he heard the news, so shocked he screamed and tore at his own flesh. He couldn't believe his ears, roaring into the phone. "Are you kidding me? How on earth could a person and their entire house just vanish?" He furiously stood up, ordering his subordinates to arrange a press conference for tomorrow morning, while the demi-humans anxiously tended to his wounds. Jiang-kun appeared at the press conference like a star, reporters swarming him like a disturbed beehive. He embraced an elderly couple, dramatically promising, "From now on, I will be your son, and I will take care of you both." A burly bodyguard shouted to clear the way for Jiang-kun to go on stage, putting on a show of authority. Sitting on the podium, Jiang-kun began his speech, declaring that the cause of the explosion was under investigation and the truth would soon be revealed. He feigned pain, saying that material losses were nothing compared to losing the comrades who had fought by his side. Jiang-kun announced that he would rebuild the destroyed area into a welfare institution and establish a generous support fund for the victims' families. The crowd, especially the elderly couple, cried out desperately, "We don't need money. We want you to catch the culprit." Jiang-kun looked down with an unyielding expression, promising to exact revenge, no matter how strong the killer was. He slammed his hand on the table, growling a vow to show the whole world how he would crush his enemies. In a dark room, Big Boss and Manager Lu were watching the press conference, and Manager Lu had to admit that Jiang-kun had truly won the hearts of the people. Big Boss turned, asking Manager Lu in a sharp, cold voice, "Old Lu, who do you think did this?" Manager Lu remained silent, but the look in both their eyes showed they already shared the same answer. Understanding his boss's intention, Manager Lu bowed his head. "Understood. I will go invite Fang Wanjia immediately." The scene shifts. Fang Wanjia sat in the darkness, his face cold and expressionless as he uttered a curt reply, "I'm not going." Manager Lu tried to persuade him, in a somewhat pleading tone, "Please don't overthink it. Big Boss only wants to thank you for helping him get revenge." Fang Wanjia narrowed his eyes, radiating killing intent. "How do you know it was me? Did I leave any evidence?" Manager Lu was startled as a shadow flashed past. He quickly called out, "Can you come out to talk?" It turned out that Fang Wanjia and Mo Xiaoqin were perched on a towering railway bridge. He calmly replied, "I'm not very good at flying." A luxurious car glided below, and Manager Lu called up, "So you've been on that bridge ever since you left the gate?" Sitting in the car, Manager Lu looked up at the bridge and offered a tempting question. "Don't you want to return to where you once lived?" Fang Wanjia sat in the car, coldly responding to the invitation. "No, if I go there, I'll just want to cry." Finally, he arrived at the magnificent mansion of the Big Boss. Manager Lu bowed and reported, "Big Boss, I have brought Fang Wanjia." The Big Boss offered tea, his tone like an elder instructing a junior. "This tea helps calm the mind, young man." Both raised their teacups, one old, one young, the atmosphere as tense as a drawn bowstring. Taking a sip, the Big Boss remarked chillingly, "You've gone a bit too far." Fang Wanjia's head snapped up, his green eyes glowing, as he directly questioned, "How do you know it was me?" The Big Boss explained clearly, not missing a single detail. "Yesterday, when I went for revenge, I saw that same look in your eyes, and that very night, the mountain villa vanished." Fang Wanjia admitted without hesitation, "That's right. It wasn't just for you. I have my own reasons." The Big Boss lightly tapped his finger on the table, ordering, Put your cup down here. The big boss began his intimidation, analyzing the situation. I know you have a grudge against Jiang Kun, but he has the support of the masses. If you oppose him, you will be seen as the villain. Fang Wanjie froze, his mind filled with questions. He knows about me? Has he already investigated my background? The big boss continued his lecture on the difference between monsters and humans. You are strong. You can kill a few A ranks, but what about a few hundred? What about S ranks, or the demon doctors? Fang Wanjie narrowed his eyes, asking in a low growl, Are you telling me to stop my revenge? Click. The big boss lit a cigarette, a sneer on his lips. Who said stop? We will exact this revenge, all the way to the end. He raised his finger, adorned with a jade ring, his gaze sharp. But before that, you need to prepare 3 things. The 3 core elements were clearly listed. A plan, allies, and money. The big boss exhaled smoke, his voice full of confidence. Coincidentally, I possess all 3. Fang Wanjie suddenly realized his own naivety. He's right. Have I been away from this world for too long? Suddenly, the big boss pinched his nose, breaking the tense atmosphere with a disparaging remark. When was the last time you bathed? You reek of death energy. The big boss waved his hand, ordering Manager Lu, Take young Fang to bathe, then prepare my son's room for him. Manager Lu expressed concern about the big boss plan, deeming the takeover of the Wild Souls too risky, but the big boss merely sneered and retorted, Haven't you always been the one least afraid of risks? The big boss narrowed his eyes, thoughtfully asking Manager Lu, Don't you think this young man resembles my son a little? Manager Lu pondered for a moment, then nodded. Now that you mention it, there is a resemblance, but he immediately flattered. However, the young master is much more handsome than him. Meanwhile, Fang Wanjie had quietly headed towards the bathroom. Fang Wanjie lifted his shirt, revealing his firm 6-pack abs, preparing to wash away the death energy clinging to him for 20 years. Standing before the bathroom, he ripped off his filthy clothes, muttering, It really has been too long since I last bathed. He decided to use the downstairs bathroom for convenience, to avoid climbing the stairs. As he opened the door, he came face to face with a girl in only her underwear. Frozen in surprise, the girl stared at Fang Wanjie's bare back, the scene blurry because she was nearsighted. The girl's eyes widened, and she called out with a trembling voice, Brother. The girl rushed forward and hugged Fang Wanjie from behind, sobbing through her tears. Big brother. You're alive. Fang Wanjie was completely stunned, utterly bewildered by this sudden situation. The accompanying maid quickly handed a pair of glasses to her young mistress. Young mistress, your glasses. Fang Wanjie maintained his poker face, even as the girl held him tightly. After putting on her glasses, the girl clearly saw Fang Wanjie's face, her face flushing red as she shrieked. Father, there's a thug in the house, while he calmly requested, Young mistress, please put on some clothes. The poor maid received a blow to her back for not watching over the young mistress carefully. Fang Wanjie turned to the maid, ordering decisively, Wait for me outside. Alone in the bathroom, he wondered, Why is she here? After finishing his bath, Fang Wanjie dried his hair, exhaling a sigh of relief, looking much more presentable. Fang Wanjie questioned the purple-eyed maid. If you have time for these games, why don't you just go assassinate Jiang Kun? The maid revealed her true form as a demoness with green horns, declaring, Any stranger wishing to approach Jiang Kun must first be tested. Fang Wanjie, now dressed in a coat, asked directly, So, what is your plan? The demoness replied that she was hiding under the big boss's command, waiting for the right moment. Fang Wanjie cut the conversation short, telling her to leave before she aroused suspicion, and the maid vanished into the shadows. The young man handed a coat to someone outside the building. In the room, the big boss started a conversation with Fang Wanjie, who was sitting on the bed. You just met my daughter, didn't you? Fang Wanjie admitted it was an accident, then suddenly asked for a black coat. The big boss flew into a rage, roaring, My son also liked to wear black. Do you want my daughter to mistake you for him again? Just then, Manager Lu burst in, his face panicked as he reported, Big boss, there's a problem with the Mountain Range Corporation's funds. Manager Lu held out his phone, pointing to the list of sponsors on the screen. The big boss narrowed his eyes, reading the name Situ Da, then muttered in recognition, A Da? That A Da from the Black Dragon Society? The big boss immediately stood up, growling. He wants to cooperate with the Wild Souls? That madman. Then he rushed out with Manager Lu. The big boss turned back and yelled at Fang Wanjie, who was still sitting there bewildered. What are you standing around for? Follow me, quickly. At another location, a hand slammed a mahjong tile onto the table, shouting, 5 of coins. A mahjong game was underway. and the bald man with the red mohawk cursed angrily as his opponent took his tile. Boom! The entire room exploded, sending the mahjong table and players flying in all directions. Amidst the rubble was a luxury car. The big boss and his men had arrived. The red mohawked man stood up, his arm transformed into a hideous, thorny weapon. The red mohawked man roared, swinging his monstrous arm at them. Messing with the Black Dragon Society, do you want to die? Whoosh! Fang Wanjia, now masked, appeared like a phantom and delivered a punch straight to the thug's gut, sending him flying into the sky in an instant. Two other thugs rushed out to block Fang Wanjia's path. One with a pair of hooks roared. Where did this brat crawl out from? The hook-wielding thug swung his weapon, but Fang Wanjia easily blocked it, causing the thug's hand to bleed profusely, and him to scream in pain. Without a second's pause, Fang Wanjia delivered a devastating kick, sending the man in the blue shirt flying into the wall. A snake lunged forward, intending to bite, but was swiftly caught by Fang Wanjia's iron grip. The man in the blue shirt panicked as Fang Wanjia grabbed his arm, growling a threat. "I'll smash your head in." Thud. Fang Wanjia wasted no words, slamming the thug's face straight into the ground, creating a deep crater. Big Boss frantically yelled to intervene. "Stop. Do you think you're fighting monsters?" Big Boss turned to Manager Lu, ordering, "Manager Lu, handle this. This kid doesn't know how to control his strength. If someone dies, he'll have trouble explaining it to Boss Da." Manager Lu nodded, understood, and behind him, an entire army of blue-eyed awakened ones, weapons at the ready, appeared, prepared for battle. Manager Lu stomped his foot, and blue energy spread out around him. Immediately, a thick fog erupted, engulfing the entire battlefield and submerging the Black Dragon Gang's subordinates. The Black Dragon Gang thugs looked bewildered, not understanding what was happening amidst the dense white fog. A female warrior shouted loudly, warning her comrades, "Be careful, Big Boss's manager is no ordinary foe." Before she could finish her sentence, a colossal dark silhouette appeared behind her, especially his innate talent. It was a cold metal Iron Maiden torture device, ready to snap shut at any moment. Another subordinate was pierced by sharp spikes from inside the Iron Maiden. He gasped, "Good morning, we're here because Boss Da is inside." Manager Lu had neatly dealt with all the subordinates by trapping them in the torture devices, and Big Boss, standing behind him, uttered a "thank you." Inside the secret room, Boss Da, a bald, tattooed old boss, sat on a state-of-the-art medical chair, breathing with the aid of a machine. Boss Da raised his tired but still defiant eyes to look at Big Boss. "Big Boss, what do you want?" Big Boss sneered, picking up a candle from the altar. "Oh, still worshipping bodhisattvas, how truly benevolent. Even donating money to charity funds." Big Boss pressed the burning candle directly against Boss Da's forehead, growling, "Damn it. You have money to donate to Jiang Kun, but no money to pay me back?" Boss Da, his face pale, confessed that he had used Jiang Kun's funds to launder money from smuggling crystal cores, and had now spent all the money that supported hundreds of Black Dragon Gang members. Big Boss scoffed, while Boss Da slyly blamed difficult circumstances, claiming it was a struggle to maintain peace among the guilds so they could all make a living. Big Boss set down his wineglass, making a harsh offer. "You're no pushover either. I'll lend you more, and even reduce the interest rate. But," Big Boss grinned menacingly, "you have to tell me what Jiang Kun is plotting." Boss Da broke out in a cold sweat, the heavy pressure making it impossible for him to breathe. Big Boss glanced, signaling Manager Lu, and the manager understood immediately. "I know." Thud. Manager Lu wasted no words, delivering a kick that sent Boss Da's oxygen tank flying. Boss Da shrieked in panic as his face gradually turned purple. "Cut off my oxygen, you bastards!" Manager Lu coldly detached the valve connecting the oxygen mask from the tank, completely cutting off the old man's lifeline. Big Boss pressed his face close, his voice sharp as steel. "Speak." Unable to withstand the pressure, Boss Da began to spill everything. "I helped him buy a talented child from the mountains, then put them into the school he sponsored," the old man continued, his voice trembling. "At first, I thought he was just looking for reserves, but then he started taking in ordinary children too." After confessing, Boss Da insisted he knew nothing more, and Big Boss signaled Manager Lu. Manager Lu immediately reconnected the oxygen tank, giving the old man a breath so he wouldn't die. Boss Da gasped like a fish out of water, muttering, "Ha, that was truly dangerous." Big Boss grabbed Boss Da's hair, threatening, "Just pretend I was never here. If you utter a single word, I'll tell Jiang Kun you betrayed him, and we'll see how he deals with you." With that, Big Boss led his group away, leaving Boss Da terrified in the room. Fang Wanjia followed behind, thinking to himself, "This Big Boss is truly formidable. Now, I just need to wait for Jiang-kun to make a mistake. The scene shifted to a strange man in a suit, sitting alone at a bar counter, quietly drinking water. Fang Wanjia sipped a glass of wine at the bar, thinking to himself that it had been a long time since he'd touched alcohol, ever since he met Jinyu. From behind, Fang Wanjia looked up at the large screen, where the MC was introducing a prominent figure, Jiang-kun, Guildmaster of the Wild Souls Guild. Jiang-kun appeared on screen with a smug expression, making Fang Wanjia immediately recognize him. It's this guy again. He recalled that in the past, Jiang-kun was just a minor member of the guild. Fang Wanjia angrily crushed his wine glass, unable to understand how a swindler could have risen to such a high position during the 20 years he was gone. Suddenly, a puddle of green vomit poured down directly onto Fang Wanjia's head from out of nowhere. The culprit was a muscular blonde man, completely drunk and spewing his dinner all over the protagonist. A long-haired man with a scar immediately pulled the muscular man away, scolding him for daring to chug alcohol despite his low tolerance. Do you think this is a green belt for fertilizing? The muscular man was knocked out cold with a single punch. The long-haired man with a scar checked on his friend, muttering, I told him to only have one beer, but he insisted on chugging vodka. The long-haired man approached Fang Wanjia, wiped the stain from his forehead, and offered to buy him a drink as an apology. Both sat down at the bar as the MC announced the end of Jiang-kun's speech, preparing for the auction segment. The long-haired man looked at the screen, marveling at Jiang-kun's overwhelming power, a man who rose to fame after a single battle 10 years ago, while he himself was still stuck at C rank. Hearing this, Fang Wanjia became curious. Famous after one battle? What happened 10 years ago? The long-haired man was utterly shocked, unable to believe that someone didn't know about the shocking Watchtower wall incident that year. Fang Wanjia merely replied coldly, So what? I've been isolated from the world for 20 years. The long-haired man understood the situation, asking Fang Wanjia if he wanted to hear the story. Memories from 10 years ago flooded back, and a younger Fang Wanjia appeared in the blue water. He wondered what he was doing at that time, and the answer appeared. A battlefield littered with the corpses of countless purple monsters. It turned out that while the world was in turmoil, Fang Wanjia was busy preparing his secret recipe hamburger made from B-rank monster meat. In a flashback, Fang Wanjia, with wild green eyes, was ravenously devouring a hamburger made from monster meat. He let out a sigh, his face showing weariness with a life solely composed of killing and eating. His eyes reflected exhaustion, longing for a normal life. Amidst a sea of monster corpses, he muttered, I truly want to escape this place. I want a life where I don't have to swing my sword and kill every time I step outside. At the same time, in a hospital, a heart monitor was still beeping while a faint voice echoed, Qui, don't feed me anymore. A frail old man lying on the hospital bed refused the bowl of porridge Qui was feeding him, lamenting, I'm about to die. I don't want to eat anything else. Qui, the old man's disciple, snapped gently, Master, could you please stop saying such inauspicious things? Suddenly, the old man gleefully pointed at a passing nurse, teasing Qui. Your body is even more delicious than mine. A piercing red alarm blared throughout the hospital, startling the old man. Qui also spun around, realizing the emergency signal was targeting the awakened ones. An urgent announcement appeared. Watchtower Great Wall summons. Extremely high mortality rate. All awakened ones B rank and above are required to report. The old man's eyes suddenly glowed with a deadly red, and he gritted his teeth. I've waited almost my entire life. This time, I must go. Qui frantically tried to dissuade him, pointing out the excessively high mortality rate while he had only just passed the C rank test. The old master recounted a bitter past. The Watchtower Great Wall sounded once in the summer of 1937. Back then, I was scared and fled, resulting in my entire family being killed. He slammed the table, determined, if I don't go this time, I won't rest in peace. Then he opened a box containing hidden weapons. He pulled out an ice staff emitting a terrifying, chilling aura, leaving Qui stunned. Master, are you truly serious? Qui smirked, his adventurous spirit rising. Hez piqued my curiosity. I'll just follow along and see. If the sky falls, Master can handle it. The master and disciple, now in their combat attire, resolutely stepped out the door, ready for the biggest battle of their lives. They arrived at a coastline where thousands of awakened ones had gathered, their morale soaring as fierce waves crashed. Qui gasped in astonishment. Wow, it feels like all the masters within 100 kilometers have gathered here. Amidst the crowd, a white-haired man casually smoked a cigarette, rumored to be Fan Chan of U City, a person capable of killing from a distance without lifting a finger. Next to him was Lu Shiba of Jiahe City, a monster who passed the S-rank test bare-handed, a man who lost his left arm to contend with 3 super S-rank monsters. The old master glanced at Kui, sneering. Why are you getting so flustered seeing a few S-rank guys? Truly a country bumpkin. He gestured with his chin towards the distance. The real deal, the big shots, are over there. Kui's eyes widened in surprise, as he recognized other prominent figures who had also arrived. A muscular woman with braided purple hair, Zhonghu, the vice president of the Central Guild, and the only demon tier apart from the president, stood imposingly. Nearby was Dushi, the president's strategist with an IQ of 390, who hadn't reached demon tier only due to a lack of combat experience. Dushi recognized the old master. Oh, Mr. Xia is here too? And the old man simply replied, I'm just bringing my greenhorn disciple to broaden his horizons. A red-eyed kid suddenly appeared before Kui, taunting, Kid, you look weak. You probably haven't even reached B rank, have you? The Watchtower Great Wall is war. If you're clueless, you'll be wiped out. Called a kid, Kui strained his neck, his gaze sharp. The old master chuckled, patting Kui's shoulder. Heh, don't worry, he'll just watch from a safe distance. Kui yelled, full of pride. I'm not scared. Watchtower Great Wall means there are invaders, right? Let's just fight them. Dushi burst out laughing. Haha, I give up. The only thing kids can't do is listen to adults. Just remember this old man's words. If things go south, flee immediately. All 3 looked out at the night sea, and Dushi asked, What's the current situation? He pointed towards the horizon. An unidentified object weighing over 2 million tons has entered the East China Sea. 100 nautical miles from here, satellites and radar are both dead, likely due to the enemy using a 3-dimensional shield. So the only way is to gather defensive forces before it makes landfall. Kui froze upon hearing this, muttering, What the hell could 2 million tons possibly be? Dushi smirked sinisterly. With this weight, it must be an aircraft carrier fleet. Heh, 2 fleets. The old master's face changed color, his voice trembling. Who would send 2 aircraft carriers here? Dushi analyzed that the ambushers were the ones who forced their leader to attend the UN meeting, making the old master exclaim in horror. Bikania? Dushi smirked, appearing to have calculated every move of the enemy. Bikania would never act alone. Suddenly, something massive slammed into the defensive shield on the sea, causing the entire surface of the water to shake violently. Boom! The bow of a warship collided, sparking, with the hexagonal energy barrier. Not just one, but an entire fleet of aircraft carriers and destroyers loomed into view, a force capable of flattening a nation. A flag with a red flame symbol fluttered, confirming these were Bikania's subordinates. Dushi smirked triumphantly. Exactly as he had predicted, he analyzed the risks, stating that the Heavens Tier heavy weapon had a 31% chance of being intercepted by their aircraft and missiles. Old Master Xia growled, suggesting that merely neutralizing them would allow for a one-hit finish, and Dushi seemed to fully agree. On the other side, on the enemy ship's deck, ranks of awakened ones and soldiers had taken their combat positions. A red-haired female warrior in a maid outfit expressed surprise. They've discovered us even though we tried everything? A stern, black-haired female officer directly asked about the win rate in a direct confrontation. The enemy fleet commander exuded an overwhelming aura, declaring that he had assembled the most elite fleet and the strongest awakened ones for this mission. The commander's eyes emitted a deadly purple light, reflecting unshakable determination. He roared before his entire army, swearing that this battle must be won, preferring death over defeat. Boom, boom. The enemy fleet's electromagnetic cannons fired simultaneously, but all energy streams were blocked by a colossal ice wall. A pilot frantically screamed in the cockpit, realizing the distance was too close to break in time. A barrage of fighter jets plunged straight into the ice wall like moths to a flame, exploding into pieces. On top of the ice wall, Old Master Xia and Kui stood imposingly amidst the enemy's wreckage. Kui still couldn't believe it, his voice trembling as he asked if the master and disciple had just halted an entire assault. Doubt quickly turned into confidence. Kui gripped his weapon tightly, growling, "We can defeat them." An armored brute from the enemy fleet stepped forward, sneering arrogantly. "You dare to fight back? How insolent." This burly man leaped onto a gigantic missile launcher on the ship, muttering, "This damn thing should be just right." With a roar, he used sheer brute strength to rip the multi-ton missile launcher right off the ship's deck. The armored brute tensed his muscles, hurling the improvised missile straight towards the ice wall with a shout. "Go!" Boom! The awakened faction's defensive ice wall shattered under the terrifying destructive power, and a voice rang out. "They've broken through the ice barrier." Kui cursed in frustration, his hand still gathering magic, but it was clear his skill level wasn't enough to withstand the attack. Old Master Xia ordered his disciple, Akue, fall back. His gaze became extremely serious. Old Master Xia poured all his magic power into his ice staff, and a dense cold aura emanated thickly around him. Akue watched from a distance, realizing his master was about to unleash a formidable technique. Old Master Xia exhaled a chilling breath, and icy energy converged into a dazzling beam of light at the tip of his staff. He roared the name of his ultimate technique, Eternal Frost. A gigantic icy tsunami rose from the sea surface, surging straight towards the enemy fleet. The ice wave crashed down, instantly freezing everything it touched, transforming the sea surface into a dead zone. The entire enemy fleet, from aircraft carriers to destroyers, was frozen solid in place. The bridge of a ship was completely covered in a thick layer of ice, silent as a tomb. A long-haired enemy soldier shivered from the cold, exhaling misty breath. Ugh, it's so cold. A mage from the enemy side hastily created a protective magic circle, shouting loudly, "Hurry, get into my nullification circle. This magic is immune to innate talents. Even S ranks will freeze to death." Ice began to spread up the boots of the enemy fleet commander. The commander smirked disdainfully, his purple eyes flashing with contempt. "You think you can stop us with this paltry A-rank magic?" Crack. The commander easily crushed the ice layer beneath his feet, growling, "How naive." Standing on the icy battlefield, the strategist Dushi gave a decisive order. "Heaven's tier weapon. Fire at the rear of their fleet," Dushi shouted, his expression grim. "Hurry, 1 second late and they'll escape." In the sky, a gigantic energy vortex formed, and the enemy commander looked up with a wary gaze. The enemy commander gaped in astonishment, realizing the scale of the attack. "What is this?" Crash. A destructive beam of light descended from the sky, piercing through the thick defensive ice layer. The energy beam aimed directly at a warship's ammunition depot, and an enemy soldier screamed, "Run! Their target is our ammunition depot." An earth-shattering explosion engulfed the ship, and the system reported an error. System overloaded. Heaven's tier temporarily unusable. The old master panted, sweat pouring down him like rain. It was clear the area of effect freezing technique had drained all his strength. Akui, his disciple, laughed mockingly. "Haha, you brought this upon yourself." Despite his bravado, Aqi also broke out in a cold sweat. When he saw the situation was not good, Dushi frowned, muttering with dissatisfaction. "Damn it, still too many of them managed to escape." Amidst the wreckage, a group of enemy elites appeared, exuding an overwhelming aura. It was clear the real forces had entered the battle. The overall view showed that the Old Master's achievement was incredibly great, but the enemy had committed all their forces to this battle. The brown-haired commander ordered her subordinate, Chixiao, report the force comparison between both sides. The high-tech soldier named Chixiao checked the parameters and reported with a heavy voice. "The situation seems bad." On the enemy side, their lineup was terrifying. 1 Unity rank individual, 8 S ranks, nearly 200 A ranks, and over 400 B ranks. Meanwhile, our side only had 1 Unity rank, 5 S ranks, and a disastrously inferior number of A and B ranks. Chixiao finished his report by glancing towards Aqi. "And 1 C rank." Aqi was mortified, his face flushing red as the whole team stared at him like an anomaly, and he stammered a retort. "So what if I'm a C rank?" Standing on a rock outcrop, Aqi strained his neck and shouted to save face. "I'm a C rank mage," causing his teammates to call his name in warning. Standing next to the old master, the strategist Dushi chuckled. "Hey, I thought he'd charge forward." Asui stood alone on the ice, facing an entire elite enemy army brandishing their weapons. Aqi began to gather his strength, determined to use area of effect magic like his master to wipe out this horde, regardless of the rank difference. His eyes blazed with killing intent, swearing that today he would take down a few enemy awakened ones. He raised his hand to the sky, summoned a gigantic circle of ice blades, and shouted, "Ice Blade Burial Ritual." The enemy fleet commander ordered a gigantic sumo wrestler, Hengang, deal with this small fry. Hui confidently provoked the charging wrestler, declaring that regardless of rank, anyone who touched this technique would freeze to death. The old master broke out in a cold sweat, worried his disciple would get beaten, but Dushi simply placed a hand on his shoulder and reassured him. "Don't worry, it's fine." Aqui's eyes widened in horror as the sumo wrestler easily shattered his circle of ice blades. Thud. The wrestler delivered a devastating blow, punching Aqi flying backward, slamming him directly into the ice wall. Dushi stood from a distance, a flash of light appearing before him, subtly signaling that a plan had been activated. The impact created a gigantic spiderweb-shaped crack on the sturdy ice wall. Aqi lay flattened amidst the rubble, his face bruised and bloody, muttering in fear. With tears in his eyes, he cried, realizing how terrifyingly strong the enemy was and how much his master had held back during their training sessions. Dushi calmly explained to the old master, "They're cautious too. They only used a B rank to probe." The wrestler Hengang stood proudly in the middle of the battlefield, boasting loudly, "Is this all the power you Vigilia have?" Suddenly, the wrestler's eye constricted due to an unusual sensation. From a distance, Dushi flashed a sinister smile. Splat! One of the wrestler Hengang's legs exploded into a bloody mess, blood splattering across the ice. A young blonde, awakened one appeared, explaining, "I had a feeling that kid would do something foolish, so I already applied retaliatory poison to him." The wrestler Hengang lay crumpled on the ice, his legs shattered, while two of his panicked teammates rushed over. "Hengang, are you all right?" One teammate tried to touch the wound to stop the bleeding, shouting, "Stop the bleeding!" The poison specialist sneered, warning, "Anyone who touches it will die with him." As the wrestler's two teammates began to melt from the poison. In the back, Aqe trembled amidst the ranks, her mind blank. Why did I come to such a terrifying place? Her face smeared with blood and tears, Aqe was in extreme panic, wanting only to flee the battlefield immediately. "It's too scary. I don't want to be here anymore." In a flashback, a purple-haired man and a blonde woman sat at a bar, a voice echoing, "Is that when he became depraved?" Back in the present, the three enemy soldiers had completely melted into a disgusting, gooey mess on the cold ice. On the flagship, the enemy fleet commander gnashed his teeth, his eyes glowing red with fury. Dushi calmly pulled out an antidote, feigning surprise. "I just took out the antidote, and those three are already gone? My apologies." The enemy commander growled, claiming to have information that 3 traitors had fled to Vigilia, and warned the defending side not to obstruct them. Dushi pointed at the gooey mess on the ice, calmly retorting, "Oh, those 3 traitors? I just finished cleaning them up. You can take their remains back for your report." Provoked directly, the commander roared in anger, "I'm not joking. Get out of the way." Dushi merely curled his lip in a contemptuous smile, completely disregarding the opponent's threat. Dushi began to lay his cards on the table, pointing directly at the enemy battleship. "Those large-caliber electromagnetic cannons on your ship are from Bikania, aren't they?" He continued to expose them. "And that guy? The cheap paint is peeling off, revealing the real goods underneath." Dushi sneered, pointing at their faces. "You've only received their scraps, yet you're barking like mad dogs. Do you crave death for them that much?" The commander and all his high-ranking officers fell silent, their true colors exposed. Dushi switched to persuasion, offering an alliance. "We will be true friends, not ordering you around like training a dog." The commander looked resentful, but Dushi added a psychological blow. "Oh, I forgot. You don't have the authority to make decisions." Standing next to Zhonghu, Dushi delivered his final move, calling the commander by name. "How about this, Mr. Mishima? Become a Vigilian citizen. If you offer our guildmaster a few gifts, you might even get Zhonghu's vice guildmaster seat." Provoked to the point of spitting blood, the enemy fleet commander roared, "I don't have time for your nonsense. We will advance across the border to capture the traitors. This is an ultimatum." The commander waved his hand, ordering his subordinates. 20 warriors, advance. And a muscular army responded in unison, their morale soaring. The defending female commander looked worried, turning to Dushi. "Can't we buy a little more time? We need to wait for reinforcements." Dushi replied with a cold expression, "It's pointless." Fanchan crossed his arms, stating firmly, "Everyone we can rely on is already here. Within 500 kilometers, there's no one skilled enough to turn the tide." Lu Shiba, standing nearby, also agreed that calling for reinforcements below S rank would only be a waste of words. Dushi stroked his mustache cunningly, analyzing. "Furthermore, even if we waited for reinforcements, they would certainly still be holding back cards." The female commander broke into a sweat, her voice filled with confusion. "So how are we going to fight this battle?" Dushi declared boldly before the enemy's elite formation. "It's not impossible. I will handle Mishima and the remaining 8 S ranks. Everyone else just needs to put in a little effort to deal with the small fry." The female commander's eyes widened, heavily shocked by the insane plan. "You intend to take on all 9 S rank awakened by yourself?" Dushi glanced over, his voice full of confidence. "You should know my true strength." He sneered meaningfully. "Hee, everyone thought my fight with the guildmaster was just luck, but in reality, I won. You haven't forgotten that, have you? Even when you teamed up with the guildmaster, you two still lost to me." In a flashback, Zhonghu roared bitterly. "Nonsense. It was just because you tricked us into drinking laxatives." Dushi merely shrugged, chuckling. "Haha. So what? As long as I win." Back on the battlefield, one of the 20 enemy warriors threw a small red pill into his mouth. He chewed the pill, his eyes beginning to turn crazed, signaling an impending dirty buff. The enemy commander shouted, "Attack!" And the 20-man suicide squad immediately charged forward. The defending female commander gritted her teeth, ordering her troops, "No more time to think, let's fight." Dushi narrowed his eyes, observing, muttering, "Are they sending cannon fodder to probe our strength? I still don't quite understand." The enemy's suicide squad surged across the ice, closing in on the defending side arrayed in the distance. The eyes of the cannon fodder soldiers began to spark with crimson lightning, and they let out a savage roar. Red energy erupted, enveloping their bodies, blood vessels bulging as if about to burst. The entire 20-man army had completely gone berserk, charging forward like a horde of bloodthirsty monsters, ready to tear apart anything in their path. Old Master Shia's face paled upon seeing the enemy's condition. Bloodshot eyes, cracked skin. Could they have swallowed a shard of jade? The female commander hastily raised her hand to stop her troops. "Wait, don't charge." With no other choice, Old Master Xia roared ice shatter, summoning a colossal ice wall from the ground. Crash! The towering ice wall appeared, reaching sky high, overwhelming our soldiers with its grandeur. Having overexerted his skill, Old Master Xia panted, sweat pouring down him, shouting, "Akui, bring me my heart medicine." But Akui, the troublesome disciple, was sprawled in a corner, his entire body aching. His mouth full of blood, Akui groaned. "Master, my bones are all shattered. It hurts too much, I can't move." Fan Chan appeared with another warrior, clicking his tongue in dismay at the sight. Fan Chan approached Akui, asking coldly, "Where's the medicine?" And the disciple could only gasp, "In my pouch." The female commander looked at the trembling ice wall, worriedly assessing. "Not enough. This wall won't hold them for long." An explanation appeared. The shard of jade is a dirty buffing drug, releasing 100% of the body's energy, turning a mere soldier into a ballistic missile. A female awakened collapsed to her knees, screaming in panic. "What's charging at us is equivalent to 20 heaven's tears. Anyone with support, abilities, or defensive magic, come help quickly." Old Master Xia gritted his teeth, straining to maintain the ice wall, which was showing signs of cracking. He tremblingly poured out several pills into his hand, preparing to take them himself to restore his mana. Suddenly, a hand covered Old Master Xia's mouth, preventing him from swallowing the pills. Fan Chan calmly asked, "Feeling better now?" Old Master Xia nodded gratefully. "Thank you, Master Fan." Regaining some strength, Old Master Xia poured all his power into the wall, roaring, "Crystallize and reinforce." Another mage joined in, shouting, "Golden water," summoning streams of shimmering golden energy to wrap around and further reinforce the ice wall. A monk and a Taoist priest also entered the fray, shouting, "Old Xia, we're here to help you." Unleashing rings of supportive energy, the ice wall was now incredibly sturdy, but a berserk soldier still stood defiantly before it, his entire body ablaze, ready for a devastating impact. A berserker soldier strained with all his might, pressing his hand against the sturdy ice wall and roaring. This is tough stuff. The soldier's entire body glowed with red energy, determined to break through the defenses at all costs. With a battle cry, the soldier activated his full power, his body cracking open like erupting lava. Boom! A terrifying explosion tore through the ice wall. The destructive power of this human bomb was no joke. The support monk stared blankly at the giant hole, muttering that magic capable of stopping meteors was now shattered by a mere grunt's self-detonation. The brown-haired commander broke into a sweat, realizing the situation was too tense. At this rate, if they all charge at once, our team is definitely wiped out. Zheng Hu, the Central Guild's vice leader, burst from the city wall like a deity, declaring, "You all prepare for battle. I'll handle these human bombs." From above, Zheng Hu observed an entire suicide squad charging madly, ready for a massacre. She landed directly amidst the enemy horde, unleashing a thunderous punch that blew apart the head of a berserker soldier. Zheng Hu charged into the crowd, continuously striking with a cold expression, determined to detonate them early before they accumulated 100% energy. A berserker soldier managed to block Zheng Hu's punch in time, straining to resist. Without hesitation, Zheng Hu spun and delivered an extremely dangerous uppercut kick to another, showcasing her supreme close-quarters combat skill. Another explosion occurred, a brilliant red light engulfing the battlefield, proving that another berserker soldier had been detonated. The pressure from the explosion caused the ice wall to continue crumbling, leaving the defenders to watch helplessly as their efforts turned to dust. The enemy fleet commander sneered and ordered, "That woman won't dare to fight to the death. 4 of you go tie her down, the rest continue breaking the wall." Upon hearing the order, 4 berserker soldiers immediately rushed to grapple Zheng Hu, determined to use their bodies to hold her back. The rest of the suicide squad ignored Zheng Hu, continuing their suicidal assault on the already crumbling ice wall. Pinned down by a muscular soldier, Jonghu merely curled her lip in disdain. Haha, how amusing. Do you think I'm scared just because you can self-detonate? She strained, grabbing the heads of two berserker soldiers and roaring. You're underestimating Vigilia's strongest warrior far too much. Crack! Crack! Jonghu slammed the two soldiers' heads together like cracking eggs, leaving them only to gurgle in horror before their brains splattered. Jonghu unleashed a technique, a vortex of golden energy sweeping away the berserker soldiers swarming around her. Whoosh! Her power flung the cannon fodder into the sky, ending their suicidal bomb-hugging spree. Boom, boom, boom. However, the remaining soldiers still frantically charged into the ice wall, causing a series of terrifying explosions. Elsewhere, Lu Shiba, the one-armed man, suddenly shivered, sensing a strange surge of power. This soft sensation is terrifyingly potent. Meanwhile, Fan Chan, another expert, exhaled smoke, calmly watching the black smoke dissipate and merely uttering, Crash! Fan Chan swung his hand, and an invisible wave of pressure blew away the entire group of enemy soldiers like trash. He tilted his head back, smoking, ignoring the soldiers raining down from the sky. An utterly arrogant demeanor. Swish, swish, he commanded. Fall. And immediately, countless sharp ice spikes erupted from the ground, impaling all enemies. Fan Chan smirked, holding a shard of ice in his hand and explaining the rules. Being able to fly is useless if you're unconscious at 10,000 meters. He dropped the ice shard, smug that his innate ability made these petty skirmishes too easy. Suddenly, another group of charging enemy soldiers froze, screaming as blue energy exploded from within their chests. A long-haired old man appeared, emitting a green death aura, turning the enemy soldiers into dry skeletons on the spot. The old man narrowed his eyes, sensing something amiss in the enemy's strategy. He muttered about the enemy's plan, doubting their ability to contend with all the guilds, while a mage from his side unleashed a destructive purple magic. The old man continued his analysis, deeming the cost of this invasion too high compared to the benefits, ignoring the squabbling subordinates beside him, while a warrior from his side unleashed fiery attacks. The old man remained pensive. What in the world is their true objective? Elsewhere, a mysterious hooded figure looked down at the corpse-strewn battlefield and ordered, Heaven's Tier, inform me when there are 3 minutes left. The long-haired old man turned and snapped at Chixiao, who was standing nearby. Chixiao, don't charge ahead. Your job is to count. The old man's eyes flashed with murderous purple light, and he ordered coldly, to be safe, those 618 invaders. Kill them all, leave no one alive. The old man landed beside the corpse of a purple monster, looked into the void, and said, I hear you're also an S-rank awakened with poison abilities? A bald man with poison abilities roared, preparing to unleash his poison fang sword. He brought his poison sword down forcefully, but it merely bounced off the giant skeleton with a clatter. The bald man realized in horror that his attack was ineffective, wondering if this was an S-rank demonic beast. Fan Chan broke into a cold sweat, telling himself he had to buy time at all costs for the big boss to figure out a countermeasure. The enemy fleet commander condensed fiery energy in his palm. He shouted, Sword of Kusanagi, and unleashed a rain of brilliant red swordlight towards his opponent. Zhang Hu, the vice leader, acknowledged the enemy's power. Truly strong, she decided to go all out, activating her demonic Buddha stage 3, with a crazed expression, declaring that if she wasn't serious, she would be wiped out. Zhang Hu charged forward with terrifying speed, startling the commander as his sword couldn't land a hit. The commander hastily activated his defensive shield, the Mirror of Yada, creating a circle of energy that blocked the attack. He broke into a sweat, secretly cursing that this one-armed monster had forced him to use 2 of the 3 imperial treasures. Zhonghu gritted her teeth as her attack was completely repelled by the energy shield. She realized stage 3 wasn't enough, and wondered if she should risk activating stage 4. Zhonghu decided this was a life-or-death battlefield. If she didn't use her strongest move to finish him, she would be the one to die. In contrast, the commander smirked triumphantly. It seemed everything was going even better than expected. Cornered, Zhonghu roared, calling out the strategist's name. Dushi, get into the fight now. Dushi, racking his brain, snapped back irritably. Quiet, let me think. Zhonghu, unleashing a fiery attack, cursed directly at the strategist. Didn't you say you'd handle the S-ranks? Were you just bluffing? The defending soldiers below were in extreme panic, not understanding the enemy's objective and not knowing what to do. Amidst the chaos, Dushi suddenly realized a foot was descending directly onto his head from above. The long-haired commander laughed maniacally as golden energy surged forth. Dushi suddenly appeared, landing a kick directly on his face and growling, "If you can't solve 2 problems, then let them solve each other." Dushi's kick erupted with flames, looking incredibly powerful. But the long-haired commander caught Dushi's leg, sneering, "I know what your objective is." He flung Dushi away, simultaneously unleashing a golden lightning bolt towards the frozen soldiers. Dushi soared through the air as the lightning bolt struck down, shattering the minions below. Standing amidst the corpses of his own soldiers, the long-haired commander gleefully declared, "Hey hey, I've fooled them all." While Zhonghu was still bewildered, another figure lunged forward, nearly impaling her. Zhonghu narrowly dodged, wondering in shock where the enemy had come from, while the fleet commander was already closing in behind her. Dushi realized the attacker was the fleet commander, Mishima, and shouted, asking what he was doing here. Commander Mishima broke out in a cold sweat, realizing Dushi had seen through their plan. The commander roared, ordering all S-ranks, "Prioritize Dushi!" An S-rank immediately shot off like a blazing red missile. Commander Mishima's eyes blazed with killing intent, determined to eliminate the defending side's mastermind. As soon as the order was given, the enemy S-ranks immediately sprang into action. A female warrior wielding a greatsword charged forward. "Let's go." The S-rank wearing a conical hat also responded. "Let's move," the boss called. Another red-haired S-rank assassin casually decapitated a soldier while wondering, "What's the rush?" Zhonghu witnessed all the enemy S-ranks being drawn away, secretly acknowledging Dushi was truly the real deal. The battle among the S-ranks erupted. A beast-transformed man roared, "Hey, no breaks at all?" A defending Taoist master appeared, creating a giant blue magic circle to meet the challenge. At the same time, a red-robed mage also entered the fray, preparing to unleash the Thousand Torches technique with a blazing magic circle. An enemy S-rank mage received orders from Mishima, immediately flying off as the ice magic beneath his feet melted. The defending Taoist master, without further ado, unleashed the four-leafed ice cage technique, a giant ice cage rising from the sea surface. The enemy mage was trapped solid, cursing angrily. "Damn it, this old man is as tenacious as a leech. I can't get out." The Taoist master was determined to hold back at least one S-rank to lighten Dushi's burden. But old age and weakness, he panted, secretly thinking, if he were 10 years younger, things would be different. Suddenly, the guardian Anbei lunged from nowhere, shouting "Don't block the way," then delivered a devastating punch to the Taoist master's head. Another enemy S-rank urged, "Anbei, what are you waiting for? Let's go." The Taoist master's magic artifact clattered onto the ice surface. His headless corpse stood rigid for a moment, before finally collapsing. In another corner of the battlefield, an enemy S-rank female warrior was casually tearing apart the low-level soldiers. Amidst the enemy encirclement, Aqi slumped to the ground, looking pathetic and helpless. He watched in horror as his master was slain, muttering, "Master." Aqui's gaze shifted from shock to extreme fury. "You bastards." He roared through tears, killing intent surging. "I'll kill all of you." Red energy exploded. Aqi grew horns, transforming into a demon, facing an enemy S-rank poison specialist. The poison specialist merely smirked, showing no interest in Aqui's transformation. He stomped his foot, a blazing red magic circle appearing and locking onto the target. "Got you." He unleashed the poison sprouts technique, countless purple poison tentacles erupting from the ground. The poison tentacles coiled through the air, the attack seeming to have missed its target. Aqi, in his demonized state, channeled all his power into the giant energy staff, roaring, "Demon's golden rod." Full power. Aqi, in his demon form, unleashed the scorching fire carpet technique, a blazing red sea of fire engulfing the battlefield. The long-haired commander brushed off dust, casually walking out of the rubble. Phew, that was a close one. Aqi roared furiously, unleashing countless purple energy tentacles. "Damn it, all you do is run." An enemy white-robed mage sneered from afar, having anticipated this move. "Heh, I knew you'd do that." Tiding is already waiting below. From beneath the ice, a giant robot with a glowing red eye emerged, locking its target onto the long-haired commander. Whoosh! The robot Tiding fired a blinding white energy beam straight into the sky, its destructive power enough to obliterate an entire area. The white-robed mage smugly asked his subordinate, "Has Tiding finished it?" Slash. A giant energy slash cut through space like lightning. The robot Tiding's head flew through the air. The white-robed mage gasped, "Tiding, how can this be? Even Sir Mishima couldn't achieve this speed." The long-haired commander landed lightly on the ice surface, his feet completely unharmed. He stood on the robot's corpse, brushed his hands, and looked at the enemy S-ranks. Indeed, S-ranks. Dealing with you all is a bit tiring. Commander Mishima realized he had been tricked, growling and ordering all S-ranks. "The strategy is wrong. Don't fight individually anymore. Everyone attack together." Mishima pointed at two subordinates, the red-haired maid and the guardian Anbei. You two, fall back, observe from afar, and kill him the moment you see an opening. The long-haired commander was surrounded by all the enemy S ranks in a vast icy expanse. A one-versus-all situation. The white-robed mage shouted, coordinating with his teammate. Kyoto, help me pin him down. The conical hat-wearing man named Kyudo formed hand seals, dark energy erupting. Groundless hell. An extremely powerful gravitational vortex formed beneath the long-haired commander's feet, but he remained standing firm. If it were a little stronger, I might have been pulled in. Seeing the target pinned down, the white-robed mage raised his hand to the sky, unleashing his finishing move. Grand Seal. Descend. A giant energy cube from above descended directly onto the commander's head. The long-haired commander tensed his body, using both hands to brace against the seal, crushing the ice surface, the immense pressure causing the entire area to tremble. Dushi braced himself for the assault, thinking, taking on all these S ranks is truly tough. Pressed down by the energy mass, his feet sank deep into the dark vortex below, and he realized the enemy's intention. Are they trying to force me into this black hole? Suddenly, a spiky-haired man named Tojo charged in from nowhere, enveloped in a dazzling golden energy. Tojo confidently declared, seeing his opponent pinned down. With your hands busy, you can't use your poison anymore, can you? He unleashed a lightning kick aimed directly at Dushi. I'll kick right through you. Dushi tilted his body, narrowly dodging the attack, the kick grazing past him. A bald man with a top knot frantically yelled, Tojo, be careful. He's the monster who killed Tetsucho. Dushi smirked mockingly, one hand still propping up the ceiling mass, the other easily blocking Tojo's kick. Hey. So even S ranks have fools among them. Tojo's kick was stopped dead, green poisonous energy seeping from his foot, but it was blocked by Dushi's hand. Dushi said disdainfully, You call this puny poison a display of power? Be gone, and crush the stream of poisonous energy. Tojo's eyes widened in horror, seeing his poisonous art completely nullified. The bald man, standing on a giant skull emitting poisonous gas, realized he had been tricked. Dushi grinned, green poisonous gas rising from beneath his feet. You've all come too close. Enemy fleet commander Mishima watched from afar, stunned, wondering, how did he just kill Tojo? Mishima's eye flashed with a strange pattern as he tried to analyze the situation. Dushi spread his arms, absorbing all the poisonous gas from the ground into his body. A giant sphere of poisonous gas exploded, engulfing all the enemy S ranks. Amidst the poisonous mist, Dushi grabbed the bald man's head, his voice full of sarcasm. You shouldn't have jumped out on your own. He squeezed his hand tight, crushing the poor subordinate's head. Now there's no one to cover your back. A red-haired female warrior wielding a greatsword appeared, looked at Dushi and challenged. You must be gloating after killing one of ours, huh? The red-haired maid roared. I've been waiting for this moment, and swung her swords, slashing furiously at the enemy. A few blazing red sword slashes swept through, wiping out the enemy's cannon fodder soldiers before they could even gasp. After clearing them out, she hovered in the air, directly facing Dushi, who stood on the cracked ice surface. Dushi, his face covered in blood, glared at the newly appeared enemy S ranks, including a bald man and a white-robed mage. The entire enemy S rank squad had fully assembled. The armored brute, the long-haired man with a gun, and even the red-haired female warrior wielding a greatsword. Dushi lit a cigarette, his face bruised but his eyes still sharp and cold, thinking to himself, I've given my all, and there are still 6 of them left. I wonder how much longer I can hold out. From afar, Commander Mishima stood on the ice and declared loudly, Listen up, everyone. Whether we win this battle quickly or not depends entirely on this. Mishima's eye flashed with a strange pattern as he analyzed. This Dushi doesn't have a poison-type innate talent at all. A horned subordinate excitedly explained. Sir Mishima is using the all-seeing Yasakani no Magatama. It's my first time seeing this eye. Through his divine eye, Mishima saw through his true nature. When he opened his mouth to spew poison, I saw a type of stored magic. He continued to analyze, and a simulated image appeared. This means he just found someone to plant poison-containing talismans on, then activated them through muscle activation. Mishima shouted loudly, pointing out the weak points to his comrades. Let me show you the locations of those talismans. The bald man and the white-robed mage saw the glowing weak points on their opponent's body, and sneered. Haha, I see it. It's just a cheap trick. And here I thought it was real. The red-haired maid also puffed out her chest, raising her twin swords with smug satisfaction. Your poison is useless now. Now you're just an ordinary awakened. Dushi merely smirked. So what? Then directly tore off his tattered cloak, revealing his muscular physique. Crash. He stomped one foot onto the ice and shot forward like a bullet. Dushi growled. You're just a bunch of flies who see a crack in a rock and think you can break it? Ridiculous. Simultaneously unleashing a lightning kick at the red-haired maid. The red-haired maid's face turned pale, unable to believe it. Too fast. I couldn't even react in time, even though I knew he would attack. Dushi closed in, his voice full of sarcasm. Didn't you just say my poison was useless when you saw it? Smack. A hand coated in sickly green poisonous aura slammed directly into the maid's face. A blazing red magic circle appeared to block the blow, but it was too late. The enemy poison specialist unleashed the poison sprouts technique, summoning countless purple poisonous tentacles from the ground that surged towards Dushi, roaring, "Let's see if you have more spells or I have more poison." Dushi's flesh was corroded by the poisonous gas. Realizing this poison wasn't immediately lethal, but spread like a plague. He was tightly bound by the poisonous tentacles, but his face remained nonchalant. Trying to play the attrition game? If so, there's nothing to fear. Dushi smirked, his hand gathering a stream of green energy. Because I already have the antidote. Suddenly, a fireball from the enemy commander flew over, striking Dushi directly in the stomach and sending him flying. Dushi muttered irritably, seeing his opponent suddenly appear. Damn it, when did he get here? The heavily armored brute charged forward, swinging a giant steel fist directly at Dushi's face. Dushi promptly activated his poison armor, a layer of green liquid enveloping his body to block the devastating punch. Although he blocked it, the impact force still sent Dushi flying, repeatedly slamming into the ice wall behind him. The enemy commander and the brute stood watching their achievement, with an air of superiority. To be able to fight 9 of our strongest warriors alone, you deserve some respect. Dushi slowly got back up, his face bruised and bloody, his mouth full of blood, panting heavily. That was a close call. But immediately after, he smirked, secretly grinning slyly. Heh. Another bunch of fools fell into the trap, Dushi muttered, calculating. It's not time yet. I need to lure more of them in. I can still take down 2 more before I'm finished. The red-haired maid saw her opponent seemed exhausted, and immediately swung her twin swords, charging to finish him. The poison specialist also didn't miss the opportunity, summoning a monstrous purple tentacle creature to block the maid's path. Growling, "Fall back. Your attack range is too short." The entire enemy S-rank squad charged in to attack simultaneously. The brute stomped his foot onto the ice, yelling, "Get out of the way." The spiky-haired Tojo unleashed a spinning kick at Dushi, but he easily dodged it and stomped on the brute's head as a springboard. Enemy commander Mishima observed from afar, pointing out the trick to his horned subordinate. See? The space is narrowed when everyone attacks together. He's using that very fact to move. Mishima continued to explain. Because everyone is attacking shoulder to shoulder, he can use their own comrades to take them down one by one. The horned subordinate suddenly realized, his expression serious. Does Sir Mishima mean we need to change our formation? Mishima explained the new strategy. Indeed, splitting up front and back will create more space. The enemy commander continued his analysis. The new formation would use a tank to blind the target, making it easier to ambush from behind. Tojo, the master of kicking techniques, roared excitedly and lunged towards Dushi. "Ha, time to fight." The entire enemy squad charged in, Tojo bellowing, "Ha, finally I can unleash my full power," while Dushi coolly remarked, "Oh, you've changed formations?" Dushi smirked, a stream of green energy gathering in his hand. "Now it's perfect." The poison expert confidently blocked the attack, boasting, "My defense is second only to Sir Mishima's sacred mirror of Yata. Don't even dream of hurting me with such petty tricks." Another warrior with a flaming cross-shaped weapon roared, ordering his comrades, "Attack now," before he unleashes his second wave of poison. The cross-wielding warrior erupted with energy, declaring, "Here I come." He unleashed a massive fire vortex, shouting, "Fire prison. I'll burn away all the poison techniques on you. Let's see how you'll spread poison then." Suddenly, the horned female warrior was stabbed through from behind by a sword. She was stunned, blood gushing from the fatal wound, unable to comprehend what had just happened. Dushi appeared, his hand still gripping the hilt of the sword that had pierced both the female warrior and the guardian Anbei, and he taunted, "Your defense is only second to the sacred mirror of Yata, but my attack is stronger than even the sword of Kusanagi." Meanwhile, a blue-haired man and a scarred blonde man were relaxing in a bar. The blue-haired man smirked. "The S-ranks are dropping like flies, aren't they?" The blonde man replied nonchalantly, "Once you reach such a high level, the S-rank label is just an entry ticket." The blue-haired man took a sip of water, asking curiously, "So how did Dushi manage to take down 2 S-ranks at once?" The blonde man calmly replied, "He revealed his innate talent." Back to Dushi, he grinned widely with a bruised face, his entire body clad in radiant golden armor. "Hey, Good thing I only activated my innate talent now. Dushi stood tall in his golden armor, an aura radiating everywhere. As the narration echoed, that was the first time anyone had witnessed Dushi's innate talent. With a golden staff in hand, Dushi easily blew away 2 enemy S ranks, proving his true caliber. No one could have imagined that he was a combat type awakened.